and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours! There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not. Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
Happy Monday, GMCG boys. We're back. Repping big week before consensus. Banger schedule. Got Repo today. Got SIMD today. Woo,
this schedule this week, I was doing it last night. I was like, holy, this schedule is packed this week. It is like, get it all in before consensus, and then we're out to Miami, folks.
Exactly. Let's run through the schedule real quick, just for some context. You guys need to be tapped in this entire week. We got Repo coming on at 12 today, so we got 10 minutes. We'll run through some quick stuff before Repo hops on, and we'll got some stuff after as well. But with that being said, let me pop up the schedule so you guys can stay in the loop. How are you guys doing today? Definitely drop some comments. Say what's up, where you're tuning in from. Okay. Boom. Schedule is up. So yeah, this is how we're doing it today. We're doing Repo at 12 here in 10 minutes, and then at 12:30. So quick 30-minute conversation with Repo. Maybe goes a little bit longer. We have SIMD at 12:30, and then we'll close with some charts. What's going on in the market? There's some really interesting stuff to cover. Repo's doing great stuff. Cards is doing really interesting things. Kled, Orgo's coming back. Avicii and Xstocks partnerships. Lots of stuff to talk about. Nonetheless. Monday we got the Repo and SIMD today coming on. Then Tuesday we're gonna have Fold. We're talking. We're getting into the peptide narrative here with Fold. So we're gonna talk to them, I believe, about Clarity Protocol and what's going on there with peptides. We got Lil Liminal Cash as well as Loyal. So pretty stacked day on Tuesday. Then Wednesday we got Kraft coming on, as seen on Solana, doing some really cool stuff. pioneering ICOs, and I think they're doing some cool equity structure stuff as well. AOL America.Fund just released a new update. Then we got DRV, which is an interesting platform. We're winning them on here. It's options. We're really used to perpetuals these days, and perps trading. This is an options platform on base, doing really well. So that'll be a really exciting call. Then Thursday looks like our most busy day this week. We got Either Way AI. I'm sure you've seen them as seen on Solana. We got Blocks, who just integrated the ACE via MetaLex. We got Hermes OS. We got Litcoin, and we got Orgo coming on. Spencer finally coming back on, giving us an update. And then Friday, cherry on top. Great Friday stream with Peak. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have heard of Peak. Start off as the RWA platform, getting into AI quite a bit now. And then OPG, Open Gradient, brand new platform that just launched, doing really cool things. So banger week. I'm out of breath just talking about that stuff. Nonetheless, let's get into a little bit before we actually talk shop here, Josh. Anything you want to cover, or should I just keep riffing?
Go riff. I'm just getting links out.
All right, boys. First and foremost, look at this. This swarms chart is ripping. We just had Kai on last week. 42% on the day. I'm not sure exactly what it is Swarms is doing, but it's absolutely ripping. This is up. We must have had him on here at 16 million, so up a good 60-70%. But off the lows, I mean, it got down to 5-6 million. Off the lows, up 350%. Let me just give a quick search on Twitter while I'm here to see what's up, because we know we talked to them. We're doing $1 million a month in revenue, right? So they're really crushing. They're doing well on that front. But how that equates to the token going up is the question. Going to share this tab. Let's see. Entertainment is being agentified. We're excited to partner with TMM._ETH to bring the Take My Muffin universe through. Surely that's not what's pumping this. Cool on the partnership there. Introducing a new Swarms framework docs. This might be it. We've significantly upgraded the Swarms docs experience by migrating to Mintleafy. The new docs are faster, clearer, and built with developers in mind, making it easy to navigate. I'm wondering if, Josh, did we ever get clarity on the Swarms token? Are they doing buybacks? Do they have any ties to this that could be making this pump? Maybe they just injected a whole bunch of cash.
We did not get a lot of clarity on the Swarms token specifically, but I do remember thinking, man, this thing's undervalued. It was pretty much valued at the, like the revenue of the business that is their actual holding company, let's say, was generating. So yeah.
Okay.
There's been a lot of clarity we got, I think, was just the token could potentially be integrated, but it was still not clear of what that integration looks like, if it's a pair token in the liquidity pools, that kind of stuff. So, but clearly this getting bought up. I mean, like the title of the show, I think there's a lot of undervalued projects out there that are potentially getting some traction.
I think this is going to be the crux of the show. Today is all about undervalued projects. So let's speaking of undervalued, let me just riff through some undervalued stuff, because I actually put out this tweet, so I might as well just go to this. I think I'm going to start doing this weekly. Okay, so it's like here's what I'm monitoring on a weekly basis, and of course you guys know me, I'm very utility focused, very value oriented. And so here's what I saw that was really cool. Of course, Repo at the top there coming on today. Repo is bouncing strongly after the Kraken listing, plus a $20 million commit announcement to the protocol. Now we're going to get into what this $20 million really means.
There you go. That actually could have been the spark, is even potentially the Repo listing.
I don't know how Repo would affect Swarms though.
Just a legacy OG AI product that is getting real business traction.
I would lean against that, but I guess it could be. It's always on the table. But Repo is an interesting one. I'm not sure what the 20 million commitment means. We're going to get into that today. I think this is predominantly someone says, hey, we're going to drive $20 million of volume through the protocol because we like the protocol. And that was the commitment that they made. So I'm not sure how long this is, for or what it means, but we'll get into that today. So Repo is one to keep your eyes on. Cards is one that's getting a ton of traction. We covered cards a while ago. It's really bounced nicely since we covered them. And it just becomes very, very clear how much more revenue they're doing than the token's valued at. And so I'm going to get into that later. I got a segment after our calls today. But just on the topic of companies doing a lot of revenue and token not really responding and representing that. Cards is still, I think, super undervalued, but it's comfortably become a top revenue generating protocol. So I'm watching this one closely as the token value becomes more clear. Pumpcade. I'm going to switch over to this chart. The Pumpcade chart's looking really good. One I've been saying we need to monitor just to see how this ace round really works out in theory. Of course, it's still to be determined if this ace round, which is a conversion of tokens to safe agreements and equity, is a superior model to some of the other equity-esque platforms we see out there. Being determined, but the chart is here pricing Pumpcade at over a $50 million equity valuation. I believe over 60 million at this value. So I'm not going to do the quick math on that, but another one you should keep eyes on just for the sake of watching these dynamics play out. And I say this because if you're watching Pumpcade and it's trading at a 50 million valuation, or above a 50 million equity valuation, you have to ask, what's a fair valuation for Kled, which is trading under what their equity is actually selling for, which is really, really interesting. As well as Orgo, I commented right under this as well. Orgo is one that has hinted at potentially doing ERCS. Of course, there's been nothing confirmed, so this is totally a shot in the dark. But if you're watching Pumpcade, you should also be watching any other equity-esque tokens or potential equity tokens like Kled, potentially Orgo, and maybe like a CPT. And then Met, of course, I'm watching as well. We saw an interesting conversation from the CAST team, basically questioning how a merger and acquisition will work for the Avicii token. We know Avicii is using this Thutarchy model with MetaDAO. So some of the CAST team was questioning, hey, if Avicii keeps going down 6, 5, 4, 3 million, what if we wanted to acquire Avicii or do a merger with Avicii because it seemingly has a good business model, it's undervalued. How would that work? And basically, Profit explained you have to do the voting mechanisms, and there's some stuff with that. We have the first SEX coming to Vietnam. One I just thought I'd throw in here. OKX's parent company is backing the first SEX to launch in Vietnam. So interesting development there. And then to cap this off, I just want to let you guys know everything I'm interacting with or transacting in is USDC right now. Okay, so if I'm buying Kled, for example, one that I think is probably a buy at these levels, or Card, which is another one that's really interesting, I'm buying in USDC because I think right now Solana is at a level where I would not be selling it. So keeping that in mind, hoarding my Solana, buying in USDC, but that's kind of the list of what I'm watching that's interesting. Nonetheless, I'll take a breath. We got 3 minutes till Repo comes on. Any comments on anything we just riffed on here?
No, and to your previous comment, yes, it's unrelated to the Kraken listing on Repo. They're a few days apart. What about PMX? Is PMX coming out of the waterwork? Because that's sitting at 900K right now, guys.
That's a really good point. I meant to cover this, guys, last night. And this is why, you need to have these Twitter monitors up, Twitter trackers. So you just have these things on there. Last night, PMX comes out with an announcement. Basically, Krish says, we've been building in silence for 4 months. And now we're finally ready for V2. Now, if you remember, PMX was something we were really excited about on this show, providing the liquidity, having the on-chain prediction markets, the nice spin that Krish put on it. We were very fascinated by it. It failed. Hard stop. It failed very bad. It did not work out. Everyone was left disappointed. Token left to go on a free fall, as you can see. I mean, absolute free fall. Looks terrible. With that said, last night he comes out and tweets, V2's on the way, been grinding 4 months for this, excited to share, and this caught a nice pump. It is at 900K. This is something that went up to 60 million back in the day, right? Maybe even higher. Yeah, went up to 60 million back in the day. Okay, and so if he can push something out, maybe it has a few X's. Hard to say. Let me pull up the tweet for you guys just so you can actually see it here to get reference to what I'm talking about. But they are... And, this could also be an exit scam. Like, he could just be trying to get the last little bit of juice, the last little bit of milk out of here. But let's see. Yeah, so you can see right here, 16 hours ago, we spent the last 4 months building the best on-chain prediction market experience on Solana. It's time to be loud again. Season 2. I asked what's happening with the token. They did like this. Didn't respond, though. So, I don't know. Be cautious. Cautiously optimistic, I would say, on this because it is cheap.
2 hours ago, there we go. Permissionless prediction markets again. Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see. Nonetheless, we got Repo coming up. I'm sure a lot of you guys are waiting for this. For the Repo community joining, we appreciate you coming on. We do the show Monday through Friday. And we want to thank Trojan for being the brand sponsors, partners of the show. You can always trade with the Trojan QR code in the bottom left corner at trojan.com/@MCG. Great conversation with Repo. They've been doing some interesting things. I think specifically a lot of people are wondering, what's going on surrounding this Kraken listing, what's going on with the $20 million commitment they just got. Their thesis is being proved out in real time, which is nice to see. I'm sure the team feels very validated by this. So going to get the full scoop from them here.
What's
whenever
up,
they're
Abe?
ready.
Good to have you in here. We're just going to give a shout to the friends, GMCG fellows, excited for the week. Yes, crazy week, as Don mentioned. Would love to hear what Repo is doing with Charles, a base agent that have been doing some work for them. Well, we're going to get into that, Daddy Duster. So I think we're going to pull up RJ, RG, and Jordan. How you guys doing?
Great. How are you guys?
What's going on, guys?
Good.
Doing good.
Hey,
Welcome
congrats
back.
on the Kraken listing. That's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah. I think for us, of course, there's liquidity that comes in from other avenues beyond DEXs, but a big thing for us was also showing the signal for compliance. I think Kraken is known for one of the most compliant sexes out there, and as we're approaching enterprises and larger companies to use our prediction market mechanism for training data, is just a strong kind of signal that okay, these guys are legit. The kind of, if we work with these guys, they're not just another crypto scam. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm sure with that Kraken being validating, that $20 million commitment you guys got is also probably super validating. We're going to be digging into that quite a bit today, but appreciate you guys coming on. For all the new viewers, for anyone from your community watching, maybe just a brief, just elevator pitch. What is Repo in general? What do you guys?
And we need a Jordan intro as well, because welcome to the
Yeah.
show, Jordan.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. So I'm Jordan. I am the COO of Repo. I've been with the project since right around the time at TGE. Was doing some early stage work with the protocol with our GN team, and then decided it just made sense to come on full time. So pumped to dive in and pumped to meet the audience today. I'll let RG give the quick high level, and then we can go into some of the details.
Cool. Yeah. TLDR, Repo leverages prediction markets, but for AI training data. Our big bet is that prediction markets will be used to trade, beyond events, outcomes, and sports. We've already proven that. If you go to repostats.com, I think the number was somewhere around around 4 million repo traded since we launched our V2. Of course, the actual dollar number fluctuates because everything, our entire economy is in repo. So I think it's 200 something, repo locked. You basically lock repo, and then you get some voting power, the VE mechanism, and then you're able to trade on preferences, and that's the TLDR of repo. And the main thing I want to highlight is it's designed for agents and robots and physical AI. So the thesis is that as we proceed in the age of AI, agents will hire humans or pay humans for their preferences whenever they're stuck. This thesis has been validated by YC and a bunch of other companies out there, but we're the first ones doing it on chain and in a decentralized manner.
Could you actually just break this down a little bit more? Because I think the concept is very new to people here. So it's a bit of a prediction market, but you actually have to put your repo on the line and stake it to, I guess, show that you have some skin in the game. Could you just walk a little bit more through this mechanism that you guys have?
Sure, yeah. So I think usually when you look at a company like Scale AI or anyone trying to do AI training data, there are two parties involved, right? Like someone who has some raw data. So this could be images, videos, any sort of thing that needs to be curated, like labeled, annotated, or given some meaning. So the way usually it's done is either it's scraped off the internet, or it's mass collected, but then the labeling and annotation part comes separately. And usually what we've seen in Web 2 and Web 3 is usually companies pay people to actually get the get the data. In Repo's case, we don't pay them. They actually pay to enter the prediction market, which is a data net. So you are putting the skin in the game. If you think that your podcast or your image or your video is great, you should you pay to enter into a domain specific prediction market. You can publish that content into multiple data nets, and on the other side, domain experts are coming in, locking their repo. The longer you lock, the more power you have on the network, and you're basically saying that if the data is good or bad, and the good and bad is basically determined by what the data net owner has set the criteria as. So if you go to repo and you see, what the data net owner wants, so they will have they will have a criteria of what is good or bad, and so that's the loop. And the data net owner is the one running a data business, so they're the one incentivizing these two actors that I mentioned. So there's no concept of like network emissions where we're just wasting money, inflationary. If you want some data, you pay people, and then the final point is like, you can keep recycling it, because as I mentioned, you're getting money from the first person. You're also getting money, the publisher, the person who's contributing the data, but you're also getting money from the person who's voting, because the voter is paying access fee to your data net. And so it's like a recycling economy. A great example is a geopolitics data net right now, where someone seeded it with 60K repo. They've been printing about 15K repo per week, and they've been recycling those emissions by seeding it again. And now they're sitting on this really valuable data set, which we've been teasing a bit, but we'll release it. Which we've used that data set to actually fine tune a polymarket agent, which has had a higher win rate compared to other agents on polymarket. So I think that's like the key. Yeah.
So, can you walk me through, I guess, how this would look, right? If I have something I want to solve for, let's say I want to improve this podcast or whatever, could you tell me how you go from someone publishing, I guess, a hit or whatever you want to call it, publishing
Mhm.
something to have people actually contributing to the network?
Sure. Jordan, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I can jump in. So it depends what your like desired outcome is, but the entire structure, where the infrastructure play behind the scenes that allows you to operate essentially like your little data business. So in this case, if you wanted to set something up that was train your AI system or something that's related to the podcast, whatever it is that you're trying to determine that outcome, you actually set a lot of the parameters. And what we're trying to do is establish all the partnerships, all the layers, everything that kind of like helps you fulfill that mission. So think about things that would allow like custom integrations, any partnership things. We're going to connect those dots for you as the infrastructure layer. And then you can essentially ask the community for participants for publishing and voting, depending on what you need. So let's just going deeper into the example of like, how do we make this product better? What you could essentially do is say, we're looking for experts or who have materials, resources, collateral, whatever that is, that can make our product better, make this a better process, or use this AI system to improve something we're doing. You go in and basically say what you want that to look like. And all the publishers who operate within your data net can actually go and post and publish that content, and ideally participate in that upside if they're winning, they're publishing content that's actually driving a lot of those wins in the market. Then on the voter side, they come in, which we help kind of bring that community, but it's also on the individual data net owner to do that. And then that's when the actual market comes in. The voters participate, say this is great content, bad content, based on the outcomes or incentives that you guys are looking for.
Yeah.
So it's really that like those are the three core players. There's a fourth bucket, which is a data consumer or like someone who subscribes to a pipeline. That's something we can get to as well. But like those three pieces kind of make up the actual market, and you walk away with the data set that's ideally better than it was a day or two ago.
Yeah, I think just to like fine tune on this, right? So let's say your goal was to just create an AI which makes your live stream funnier. Like that's it, right? And so what you do is someone can, instead of you going and clipping all the clips that you guys have had all this while, people will go do that work for you. All you have to do is spin up a data net, cost 20K repo, and then just seed some incentives. You can seed the incentive in any token you want. It could be the MCG token, and that's it. Like, and you just tell them like what you want. Like it's as simple as that. Takes like 10 minutes, and people will go slice their clips. Figure out what's funny, and then other people will vote and say like, oh, this is actually like funny. And you can use such preference data, we call this RLHF, to basically fine tune a grok, let's say, And then maybe the use of the AI, again, it depends on you how you want to use it. Maybe the use is that every time you have um, you're doing a show and someone says something funny, it like identifies it or something like that and gives people points, like something like that, right? Like this is like a one example, but to create that outcome you need to know, like, what is funny, but what is funny in your context. And I think that's the thing people miss. I think right now AI is being designed to be generalized, but our thesis is more aligned with like what Balaji says is AI is going to be polyesthetic. I mean, I always mess up the word, but there's going to be many AIs, right? Like the I don't know, the brown people will have their own AI. I don't know, like, and like, SF people will have their own AI or something like that. And so I think like the thesis is that we need to design AGI, even not just AI. AGI is going to be polyaesthetic, and every community will have their own AI. And to do that, you need to understand their preferences. And you can't just, lock down people's preferences, because people's preferences and their belief systems are changing, pretty much every day, based on information they're consuming. And so that's the crux of Repo, is that, if you wanted to build an AI which is like aligned with the preferences of your audience, because that's, the most valuable thing, how do you actually make sure that how do you automate that whole process? And I think Repo allows you to do that in like in like 4 clicks without having to like, do like, a bunch of circus.
And just to make sure I'm understanding this, Josh, I know you got a question, but to tie this off with the bow. So essentially, how I'm understanding this is, hey, I have something I need done. I set a bounty. Industry experts come in and provide valuable data to complete that bounty. And then the network votes on it if that data is good or bad. And in return, I have rewards that will be going towards the people providing the data and then voting on the data. Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then what we've seen, right, is like the data itself is, at least like 4x more valuable, because this poly market agent we've been keep talking about, when we release it, you'll see it. But, I think that's the point we want to hit home, right? Repo is not in the business of buying and selling data. We're in the business of creating the infrastructure to allow anyone in the world to do that, including robots and agents. So it's like a important distinction.
I want to dig into some of those use cases because you tagged a few of them in our last call. But on March 25th, you said Repo V2 was
Mhm,
launching in a couple of days.
mhm,
You have your roadmap here on screen.
mhm.
Phase 1, opening the floodgates. Love the title of this phase, by the way. Can you just do a little retro on kind of how V2 is rolled out and I guess some of the key success stories there?
Yeah, 100%. I think like V1 was, very experimental, right? I think no one in the world had ever done prediction markets for AI training data. If anything, I think most of the VCs we were talking to, they were like, "Oh, this makes no sense. What are you talking about?" Measuring data quality remains an unsolved problem. We even today, so we did the raise for Repo Foundation. We're still doing a raise for Repo Labs. And when we're talking to VCs are like, "Oh yeah, I don't think you can ever like measure quality. Like this is an unsolved problem." And I think our whole thing is that, right? We came up and said, like, look, I worked at Filecoin for 2.5 years. I was like, data, you cannot just store data and expect it to be good. You need to know what is good or bad. You need to know data quality. And that was my, like literally like what I was breathing. And so we started with that, right? When we did our TG in November, we said, okay, can you meaningfully use prediction markets to determine what is data quality in real time? Right. So we did that in the first 3 months, but there were like, of course, with any mechanism design, there were only for example, you could not downvote. The process to spin up data nets was not. We used to call them subnets back then. The process was not fully automated, and V2 was a big leap. Where today, as I mentioned, it takes you can go on repo.ai and do everything yourself, like 10 minutes. Like we're improving, but we think that it's intuitive enough. We've seen people spin up data nets by themselves. And then the biggest thing is trading volume. Like I mean, it sounds a bit odd, but like there's actually a leaderboard if you go to repo.ai. So data quality traders or preference traders, like this sounds like a bit weird. You're like, what are you talking about? But I think this is what we'll see. Like our vision is that it's going to be like human data is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's going to go to trillions. And humans like you and me are going to wake up every day, and instead of just trading meme coin shitters, we're also trading like our like preferences and providing feedback to AI companies,
Yeah.
permissionlessly.
Because
And
we
I
each
think that's
have
the
different
vision. Yeah.
unique skill sets and unique points of view in the world and unique kind of backgrounds that's what makes these agents or these AI products actually interesting and valuable. Is like, let's say I'm a lawyer with a specific industry skill set. It's not me versus me kind of judging data, I guess, is more valuable than just a generalized kind of, data set that you're training the model on. Again, smooth brain
Right.
take, but I think it's helpful to understand the big, repo vision here, and
Yeah.
kudos to you for having that and sticking with it, because it's clearly working. So
Thanks. And I think one thing I also want to add here is like, I think Repo, of course, there's a human part where humans give feedback to AI. So there's a big human AI collaboration piece, which I covered in the CoinDesk article. But there's also like, AI's like training in the gym. So there's this whole idea of like reinforcement learning environments. It's blowing up right now. And the whole idea is that, you need sandbox environments for AI agents because agents are just like, they just can't go in the wild and like do shit because it's going to be just like really crazy. And so what's happening is this idea that reinforcement learning environments are like training gyms for AI. So if one of you were to create an agent, most likely it's not a good idea to just deploy it in the world and be like, yeah, here's my 10K, go trade with it. You want it to like practice a bit, and like get feedback and do all those things. And that's when, again, I think Repo, again, I'm biased, but I think Repo is the only project on chain. I'm not even going to say base, just on chain, which is even like attempted to do reinforcement learning environments, RL environments on chain. And I think it's really new. I think very few people are thinking about how AI is going to learn, how AI is going to improve. um, I believe that execution is not the moat, learning is the moat.
yeah. And I want to touch on some implementation examples. You mentioned a robotics company that had created a virtual environment. Something called SpiceNet is using Repo to look for top DeFi apps.
Hmm.
Large players are wanting to A/B test ads, and agents and zero human companies are using Repo's infrastructure to gather feedback. Have you seen
Hmm.
any interesting use cases from, in the last kind of 30 days? Or have those use cases evolved further in the last 30 days with V2?
Yeah, so I think one of the most interesting ones that I've seen, and Jordan, feel free to jump in, is there's a robotics company we're currently trying to get on board. They're, more Web 2, so they were like a bit hesitant. But what they do is they actually they have this deployment lab where they get people on VR, and then instead of like you might have heard of this concept of like doctors doing surgery remotely, but instead of doing surgery remotely, they're experimenting with like instead of deploying a robot in someone's home, can you get someone to like basically like operate a robot but do like household chores?
Yeah.
And what they realized in that process, when a robot is inside someone's home, every home is different, right? Someone might have a little kid and someone might have like someone with like a certain condition, and you can't just like generalize and train the robot that way. So they were doing this thing where they were like they were trying to like teach the human to like 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 remotely understand the context of someone's home, which is really crazy, really 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 hard. And so what they wanted to explore Repo for is like, what if they could upload videos of these robots operating in people's homes? Again, this is like experimental. And other people are basically saying that, hey, like I think because there's like a little toy, I think there's a kid in the house, so this robot shouldn't be using a sharp knife when it's trying to cook. Like these are the kind of things that people don't think about, but that's the future looks like. You can't just like have a robot, and if I have a dog, I think the robot would should act and do things differently in my house versus in like someone else's house, or someone with a backyard or something like that, right? So these are small examples, but I think that's kind of what we're going after. And the best part is because this is all chain and this is all decentralized, where people are being incentivized permissionless, that just makes this cheaper, faster, and more verifiable.
And I think the coolest thing that drew me to the project too is how widespread this, like the application of the tech in the markets can actually be. Like a crazy example RG just mentioned, but then we also are working with this this project that's kind of in stealth right now. You'll actually see the like sports data net is what they're running, and what they're trying to do is actually aggregate all these different highlights and different like in-game materials, resources, etc., for sports performance training. And the fact that like this technology can apply in this kind of crowdsource like methodology is actually so valuable for somebody on that side of the spectrum, and also the robot that might be folding your laundry or cutting vegetables in your kitchen. That's something that just really excited me. It's such a wide
For
array.
robotics, right?
Sorry, say that again.
For robotics, when you say
For
sports training, or for humans?
For robotics, I think they're actually leveraging like AI models to help facilitate the actual, like if you come in and you're training for basketball and Dom's coming in and training for golf, then the actual application of how they build your specific like training program, whether that's just using AI or actually implementing like robots in that process. So it's very widespread, but can actually access.
Because there was this viral thing where we saw these robots running in China for these marathons. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Took quite a tumble. I saw that. Yeah. But very cool that like those are the type of applications, quite a spectrum, and it's up to each individual like data net owner to kind of bring their own thoughts, ideas, and new ways we haven't even thought of.
Yeah, I think like last one I want to jump in, right? Everyone is talking about agentic payments, right? What are they paying for? No one's asking that. Like, what are they paying for? I think like that's the point. Is like once you've built the payment trails, you've given a wallet to your robot, your agent. Is it just gonna pay for shit that you want? Like, no, it's gonna, if you're gonna be fully automated, it's gonna pay for things that it needs. And what does that AI like? It doesn't need food. I mean, data is the thing it needs, right? So I think that's how we think about it. If it will evolve, we're still 6 months old. We've achieved a lot in that time horizon, proven our PMF, but there's so much more to do, and that's the exciting part. Yeah.
Interesting thing you said earlier is, this is a Web 2 company, so they're a bit hesitant. How are you guys approaching Web 2 companies and saying, look, we have this decentralized way to, kind of implement quality control via aligned incentives, but it is Web 3. How are these guys like digesting this and taking to it?
Yeah, look, I think like the way what we've learned is I spent a whole month and a half in SF back in Jan.
I think we lost him. Jordan, you maybe want to take that cue?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, sorry.
He's back. Then I'll jump in.
Sorry.
We lost you for a second, RG. If you want to just reset that thought.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I was just saying that when I spent time in SF, I think the main thing I learned that it's just a stupid idea to like go after soda labs. Like the labs work with data companies as an extension of the research arm. So if you're trying to penetrate like that market, that makes no sense. It's because it's very hard. Like they require NDAs and they require a PO, like like a specific person. I think the way we're approaching Web2 companies is like kind of marketing this as an.
I can jump in and finish that thought for him. So this is actually where my background, like part of the reason I wanted to hop on board and lead some of these efforts. Prior to this, I was at Blockworks, so working with like the institutional crowd that operates in this space. Prior to that, I was in the VC space and Facebook. So the whole point, I give that context because I'm actually like the user we're trying to address that is very like tech forward, innovative, likes disruptive tech, but wasn't like a Discord degen for the last 15 years. It kind of took that transition to get there. So something I'm really, really focused on is building those partnerships. You mentioned SpiceNet. They're a customer who's actually like operating their own data net, but we're also leveraging some of their tech to like abstract some of the crypto rails away and simplify that process. They act as kind of like a cross-chain brokerage. They're an amazing product. You should actually go like dig into it because they're an up and coming team that you should definitely look into. But those sorts of examples where we almost like remove the crypto rails, what you've probably heard the term like DeFi mullet, where my dad who's approaching 70 could go on the app, just needs to know I put $5 USD and I may get 10 back. He doesn't have to know any of the behind the scenes. So we're a long way from getting there, very candidly, but first step of many to kind of abstract those crypto rails.
DeFi a mullet, for those not in North America, is kind of like Dom right here, short up front, long in the back. He's getting the flow going.
Getting there.
Poster boy for us. It's perfect.
Yeah. You think I'm old enough for that? I don't know if I should be no, but big affinity for Blockworks, by the way. So really interesting to know a bit more on your background. I want to get into some of the updates. We're coming in on wrap here. So let me actually just tab open this. You talked about the week. It was quite a big week for you guys. You got the Kraken listing, and you got a $20 million capital commitment. Really curious to dig into the capital commitment. I think the Kraken answer is going to be a lot shorter. So let's just talk about Kraken real quick. You mentioned it briefly, but can you touch on why this is so important and you're excited for it?
Yeah, for sure. I'll tackle the Kraken, then I'll let RG jump into the capital commitment. So Kraken specifically, a few reasons. One, working with a tier one exchange, that's a huge milestone for us. What are we, 6-ish months from TGE? That like validates and justifies the work that our team has really been doing. So like we're personally just really proud of that. Also, what we've noticed is we've gotten a lot of traction, like an incredible community. That was one thing that when I joined the project, I was like, oh, wow, like there's really, really something here. But what I mentioned in my last few updates is we're trying to open that up to the masses. We obviously want Repo to be accessible. We want it to be all over the globe. And what we think by getting in front of Kraken and their new audience, like that'll bring new eyes, not just from a trading lens, of course, but also an audience that like wants to participate and potentially bring customer acquisition, help us kind of build our pipeline and funnel as well. And something that we just love working with the Kraken team. I've had a relationship with them for many years, given the Blockworks, et cetera. The whole point is to build a long-term relationship. They are super active in like the BitTensor ecosystem, things like that. And if we can get names like them, they can help secure partnerships. What we look for is always from a partnership lens. How do we connect dots? How do we add value from our side and vice versa? So it's more than just, hey, a transaction to like get listed, quote unquote. This is the first step of many that we want to just, build these partnerships across the globe.
Okay, I love that answer. I think even more shocking was the 20 million. I shouldn't say shocking, maybe that's not the right word, but even more surprising, exciting was the $20 million protocol commitment. What does that mean exactly? Is that, okay, we're going to run 20 million through the protocol to refine our data? What does that look like?
No, so the way the Bulls capital commitment works is it's not like, instead of doing like a one-time OTC deal, like, just like selling our tokens right now, like the foundation tokens, it's it's a commitment to basically it works as a line of credit. So whenever we need funds, like we have some bigger ambitions, like uh, things like, for example, potentially maybe like not anytime soon, but potentially building our own, like L2 or chain, right, to capture certain like fees, but also have a custom features like like on-chain privacy. That is like something we need because we believe that to scale repo, you need like an on-chain privacy feature where people can hide each other's votes and preferences. Private data is important. But yeah, so to do things like that, that requires a lot of money. You can't just, create your own chain from scratch, with like, I guess, yeah, with a little money. So I think that's how it looks like. As I said, we didn't sell any equity. This is purely on the foundation front. And we are, as I mentioned, we are going to do a separate raise for Repo Labs, and Repo Labs and Repo Foundation is going to have, I mean, it already is, of course, are two separate entities, and the protocol sits with the foundation, but everything will be a lot more clear, and we're starting that with like, the fundraise. And so just to go to dive deep into that, right, I think the way the funders works as a line of credit, we can draw down whenever, and of course in exchange we will be giving the tokens. The tokens come up with a bit of a lockup period, and then also Bulls Capital cannot sell more than like I think the terms you have is like around like 7 to 10% in one kind of like in like in a certain time frame, and it's all done through like based on volume on sexes and things like that, which is why like getting listed on a sex was really important. So the whole idea is that instead of like whenever we need capital, instead of trying to find OTC buyers and giving them a 20% discount on things, or trying to like go raise again, we just have like this like line of credit we can basically draw on from, and I think that's I think more projects should like explore that. I think a lot of times projects just like sell tokens or equity like super early on, and not because they're not bullish enough on themselves, just because like you need as you scale, capital commitments increase. I think I learned that as a first-time founder that like sometimes it's hard to budget, and and also you can't time markets, like like you might be like, oh, like things are going really well, I don't want to like raise, but now, and like things are not going so well, and now you want to, you need cash. Like, where are you going to get that, right? You don't want to dump the tokens in the market. So I think those are things to think about long term. And then just to add on what Jordan was saying, like Kraken was the first one. Given the momentum we have, we're already seeing interest from Asian exchanges, Asian family offices. Because broadly, I think everyone wants exposure to AI. They're sort of like getting it through, like, I don't know, like fifth or sixth rounds of like Anthropic, but that's not really like the alpha. So I think AI crypto is going to be bigger, and I think within AI crypto there's very few projects that are doing something meaningful. So I saw someone say that how Repo is trying to get the momentum going. I think that is the goal. Repo is trying to get the momentum going, not by just like introducing I mean, well, of course, as I said, like the more exchanges coming, but I think it's basically like, solidifying our position in the AI crypto landscape. We're saying that, hey, if you're an investor and you're looking to exposure to AI crypto, this is the most kind of dynamic AI data layer that you can, interact with.
On
So,
that, do you
yeah.
think we'll see a trickle down effect further? We're seeing some AI projects pop off, Swarms being another one, but yeah, just there's trickle down coming.
But can you tell me a bit, what exactly do you mean by trickle down?
Well, we've seen a lot of these on-chain AI projects now kind of reaching a level of maturity and product market fit. Like we're 12 months past AI 1 run. We're now kind of in this version of post Claude bot and whatnot.
Right,
Like, do
right.
you see there's kind of this floor for investment now that there's evidence of PMF and legitimacy? And like you mentioned, the tier 1 labs are like, there's no upside in Anthropic really anymore. Maybe, I don't know.
Look, I
So
mean,
some of that capital will trickle down is what I'm saying.
oh,
right?
I see. I mean, I can give you my personal view. Of course, I'm not like a hotshot investor of any kind, but my view is that I think AI crypto projects need to figure out how to like accrue value to the token. I think like not mistake, I should say, one gap that I see is a lot of times AI crypto projects are making revenue off chain in the real world, and they're like, wow, look, we're making so much revenue, you should buy our token. I'm like, no, that makes no fucking sense. Like, what are you saying? Because like at the end of the day, like unless you're telling me that programmatically you've programmed to all that revenue to flow back into a token, which also like I get the argument for the builders, right? You need the revenue to build. And so I think there's a bit of a chicken and egg, and that's why I think like we're so intentional about repo to like build the entire economy in like around repo. I think like sometimes it takes people to understand. People are like, oh my god, your revenue is so low, but we're like, look, people are locking repo, people are paying in repo, earning in repo. Like that's how you build the economy from scratch. So I would say like that's the missing piece. I think AI crypto projects, it will trickle down regardless, but I think for an investor to like just a general investor to like look at this and be like, what are the fundamentals? I think the fundamentals cannot just be that, okay, I sell to Web2 companies, have a revenue pipeline, and then I just sell this token to fund that. Like, that is just not a great argument for anyone to buy the token or interact with the token in any form, right? I think the way we look at it is I think because people are locking repo, they're taking an opportunity. It's an opportunity cost. They're incurring a cost. We don't charge like, like Polymarket charges like a percentage basis points. We don't charge like on like, locking repo because you're already paying the network in some way by committing your tokens and locking it. So yeah, I think to answer your question, the answer is yes. I think
Great take, by the
yeah,
way.
yeah. Sorry, yeah, but I think that's just like I think like more people cannot just like expect revenue to be happening. Either you figure out, I think, and the other challenge is on-chain revenue. I think it's possible. I mean, some of the things we have teased, we're working on them, like building like a swiping kind of Tinder like feature where you can say yes or no on like different markets and like your share preferences. If that scales, where you're just buying credits and the credits are automatically buying repo on the chart, those things scale, but you have to abstract away, and I think those require a bit more creativity. But if you're not doing that and you're just like trying to sell services off chain and expecting people and to expecting value to accrue on chain, I think like it is a big disconnect, and I think we need to be more intentional about bridging this gap, both as builders and investors.
Great answers. As we kind of start to wrap up, we are at time. I want to talk a little bit about growth and how reception's been. I had this tweet pulled up. And I'll pull it back up here in a second. I have this tweet pulled up that talks about 4.25 million in USD trading volume since the V2 launch. Can you actually talk to me a little bit about how, I guess, growth has been, how you're seeing from the what you're seeing from the volume side?
Yeah,
Sorry,
so that number's actually jumped up with just obviously like the price increase and price action the last few days. I think over the weekend it hit exceeded 5 mil. But what that indicates is that there is active trading. I think it comes from a few things. One is there's more and more data nets and people interested in seeing the value of starting their own data business. So that's driving just a lot of like new novel ideas ranging from sports to robotics to geopolitics. So as more activity and cool use cases for it come up, I think people are just like going to be inclined to participate in ways that they have their domain expertise. Like I might have some knowledge that's really valuable in sports, but know nothing in robotics, and that should come into the mix too. So that's driving a lot. Two is a lot of the traction in opening up to like new audiences. Like again, we've talked about this, it's the common theme, but getting on Kraken is huge, not just for, price action. It is getting into an audience that can now understand where can I go find these guys? What can I learn more about it? How do I actively participate versus just like buy and hold the token? So I think that's a really big one as well. And then three, I think I have to give our team like a quick pat on the back, is things we are all incentivizing is like, how do we build the flywheel and like the loop that goes back into the community? Like we're doing things like giving grants for other folks to actually start their own data net, and that rewards users who have been in the community for a while. Just keeping that thing that like at the end of the day, what drives this is the community, and everything that we kind of put back into it will help kind of build that flywheel. So I think that those are the core pieces that have gotten us this far.
Can you talk a little bit about the token and how you guys are looking at that?
Cool. I was just gonna say something, but I completely forgot. Oh, I was gonna say, I think that if you look at the V2 staking design, I think we just published that. We're very open about that stuff. So that's also going to add to the flywheel at the very top and the top right. It's a little button you'll see. It opens a PDF. But we're looking currently for community feedback on that. So what's that going to do is it's going to allow anyone who holds repo to basically stake the repo into data nets based on metrics like volume, all the metrics you see on repo stats. So you see the metrics, but also there is a bit of speculation, right? Like epoch over epoch, every 48 hours, data net performance is changing. So you're speculating, okay, which data net is going to have a higher volume, which data net is going to have a higher, fees generated. And that will draw, and then they can earn the rewards, which are coming from the data net spin up fee. And so everything is flowing back into the economy. And that, closes the loop where you have, all different kinds of factors, right? You have people who want the data. You have people who are getting paid to create the data. You have people who are speculating on, what data is good or bad. You have the people who are speculating on which data creator is good or bad. And I think that what makes it so exciting, that, the vision that we have is that repo. The thing that I was going to say is I think a lot of people are looking for like, oh my God, when is repo going to do that $1 million sale? We're never going to do that. Like, that's not the point. Like, the point is the data net owner might do it, but a lot of times the data net owner might not even sell that data. The data net owner is coming in and, if they're creating the data set and they're building agents and, keeping the alpha to themselves, right? Why will they just sell the alpha for a few $100 when they can just, build a polymarket agent and, print millions by keeping the alpha, right? I mean, that's the point. I think we just want to hit home. I think that people will start to understand this better. But the point is, repo was never designed and is never designed to be a buy and sell marketplace for data. It's a market. It's an infrastructure where anyone can come create a data business in our environments on chain and get the alpha rich data they need to win in a crazy world. So, yeah.
Well, we do have our next guest, but I want to speed run a few things, and we'll have to get you guys back on to talk about the data consumer third bucket that Jordan mentioned at the start. I want to talk about this poly market agents, but are you guys seeking ongoing funding right now? Obviously, you got the 20 million token deal you guys talked about. What about ongoing funding? And maybe Jordan, you can take this. Looks like we lost RG again.
Yeah, we might have lost it. Let's see if he hops back in. RG, you want to tackle or you want me to?
I missed the question. I don't know what's happening, but I missed the audio. Like the audio kind of goes away. So I was just turning off my Bluetooth, but can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, I got you. I guess I'm just wondering if you guys are seeking.
Yeah,
any
it went away again.
funding.
I don't know what's happening. I can't hear you.
Jordan, maybe
you can take the question. Yeah,
I can tackle this one. So the 20 mil capital commitment is for the foundation itself. We are starting a fundraiser early fundraising conversations now for Repo Labs. That is something we are actively exploring conversations. Obviously, DMs are open, but we have gotten a lot of inbound interest as well. But if anyone would love to chat, obviously happy to have a conversation.
And Repo
Yeah.
Labs,
So
that's
just to clarify, the mandate for the foundation is threefold. It's about longevity of the repo token, which includes things like exchange listings and thinking about like how do you maintain a treasury and build like a 10-year plan for the repo ecosystem, giving out grants, things like that, and also just making sure that whenever decision and something to keep it in check, right? I think like in the web 3 we've seen often that. Often, like a check, someone who's keeping the Repo Foundation in check, and so Lab should be purely like a product R&D division, which we will raise separately for, and then the labs might make grants, and charge a fee, and vice versa. I think that's how the relationship is evolving. We are not big fans of where we believe that people will come build in your protocol. Like they won't. You have to build yourself, and you maybe we have opened it up. If you go to docs.repo.ai, this was in Jordan's most recent post. You can start experimenting with Repo and building, playing with their APIs and building by yourself. But unless you reach a certain scale, there's no point trying to become like the chain. Build a product, scale that, and then eventually have ambitions to build the chain. So that's how we think about it.
So Repo Labs is going to be more of an AI research lab, and you guys will be using the Repo infrastructure to build out further applications. Is that how I'm understanding this?
Yeah.
Yes, Tom.
All right, cool.
Sorry, I don't know. So what's happening here? But Dinero's voice is just not coming to me. Is it just me or? Okay.
I got you,
Yeah.
Dom. The answer is yes.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. We'll just do quick
I don't know
community
what's happening,
questions,
but yeah.
and we got to jump. Top Fumbler says, any ongoing talks with Coinbase?
Active conversations with all the main tier 1, tier 2 exchanges. To RG's point, we are interested in Asia specifically, but open to any and all conversations.
Crypto Jones, not sure what you can say on this, but how do you look at the repo price? What does it mean to repo? I think you touched on tokenomics, but maybe just any further elaboration helps.
Here's my personal take, just how I view like any tokens is I think everything we do genuinely like has a mandate to reward the community participants, the people who've been here, who are helping farm and grow and build the ecosystem. Like obviously everybody loves price action. That's the whole point of why we're being here. But genuinely is to build that flywheel and reward everyone who's been here since day one. So of course we like short-term gains, but we'll talk to everyone in a few years when we're all on our yachts. That's the goal.
There we go. Well, I think we got to call it there. Quick word.
Yeah. Hey guys, I want to just say this is our 4th stream with Repo, and we've seen you guys progress from a project that Chill and I were trying to understand to something that is very clear in the vision. And as a couple people mentioned, the professionalism both on your website, the comms that you're doing is great. So keep it up. I'm really impressed. And RG, you've built a really great business. Congratulations. Yeah, he's gone.
He might have dropped. Appreciate you guys. We're happy to hop on anytime.
Sounds
sweet,
good.
Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
All right. There we go. A little bit of connection troubles, but I think we got a pretty good idea there.
Hey,
Sounds
you know
like
what? It's good to see them build out their business and go from a, like token launched on chain to something that's getting exchange listings, like all good stuff. So
it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they talked about the Polymarket agent and how that was performing better, I think, than other benchmarks. So I'm wondering, I mean, I'd like to see some of the products that are going to come out of that research lab that they're spinning up here. So
yes,
maybe already active. It looks like they're just looking for funding for it. So interested in that. Nonetheless, we have a SIMD coming up. Not sure if they're ready yet. I don't see.
Well, here, let's give this. Oh, we got. All right, this is perfect. Okay, awesome. We got the dual.
Can you see us? Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, we're gonna change the layout so you're there. We go. All right, you're good to go.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. We are excited to talk to you guys. Had the communities kind of going crazy, rating, just saying they need you guys on here. So it's a pleasure to get you on, and we're ready to hear all about what everyone's talking about. So would be great if we could get an introduction, left to right, right to left, whatever you guys want to do. But we'd love to get to know you guys a bit better before we jump into it.
Yeah, great. Thank you for inviting us. We're very excited to be here. So to start with, I'm Sam, one of the co-founder of SIMD, and this is Bayan. And we are basically, the 12 of us are like technical people, and we pretty much started this project back in last year, October, November, during a hackathon, right? And I think we pretty much started with a project that doing distributed GPU computations, and eventually we expanded into this CFD, or so-called computational fluid dynamics simulation field, which we think it's a very exciting field because it's a legacy industry that has not been touched by the new cutting edge technology for the past 30, 40 years. So we're very excited to bring AI as well as Web3 into this domain.
Yeah. And okay, my name is Bayan, and I'm mostly also technical. I'm not business like Sam, and software engineer, since 9 years.
Yeah, he's a great developer. He can develop things on the fly like that.
Awesome. Welcome to MCG, guys. People have been tagging SIMD for like months, not even months, like for 6 months, as long as the show's been running, really. So, but yeah, go ahead, Dom, if you want to tee it up.
No, super cool, guys. Well, we're going to jump into it. Let's get a little elevator pitch. Curious on the product. We heard a little bit about it just now, but maybe a more deep dive into what it is you guys are actually building out. And remember, this audience is much more non-technical than you guys. So, keeping it high level would be appreciated.
Yeah, I think Sam is great for that. You can explain that in the
Sure. All right, I'll keep it very simple. So essentially what we are doing is we are developing an automation platform for computational fluid dynamics simulation. So what exactly is CFD? It's not a term you hear every day, right? But it's something that's very heavily used in engineering physical simulation industry. So think about the aerospace industry, the automotive industry, right?
You said fluid dynamics, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yes, I know. All right.
Fluid dynamics. Okay. But let me just explain exactly what that is. So think about like let's say you have a rocket, right? Rocket has like a fuel tank, right? Now, before you even manufacture the fuel tank, you need to run simulations to make sure the material to make those fuel tank is safe, right? It's not going to explode, right? And you also want to make sure the fluid, or in this case, it's like a liquid hydrogen, it's going to stay in the tank. It's not going to evaporate, right? So those are the type of simulation you need to run before you even manufacture those things. And that's exactly what we are trying to do. But traditionally, people run those simulations, they need specialized software, right? And they need a highly skilled expert to run those type of simulations, which is not like everyday engineers can do this type of job. So what we try to do is we try to develop this platform that it's sort of like vibe coding, for instance, specifically for simulation, right? So it'll be as easy as you describe what you want in natural language and upload the simulation object, right? And it will run the entire simulation by itself in an automated way and give you back the results. So essentially, it simplifies this whole process.
Got it.
Okay, so I have a question on this because it's really fascinating. How has AI, I think, advanced this space forward? Because again, I'm nowhere near this industry. I have no idea, but it feels like just now with AI, this stuff is so much more possible and accessible. How has AI, in your experience, pushed this space forward?
Yeah, definitely. So think about like how does AI change the software development industry, like vibe coding, right? Like nowadays with AI, it's possible for non-coders to develop an application, right? So here, it's possible with the help of AI, the normal engineers, like a mechanical engineer who's not specialized in running simulations, before they need a simulation engineers to run this type of simulation. Now they can do it themselves, right? Just by describing what they want. And that cuts the development cycle much shorter, right? Because instead of waiting for a simulation engineer to run the simulation, you as a mechanical engineer, you can just do the stuff yourself and get the results back and improve on your product.
Yeah, and previously they'd have to use things like wind tunnels and actually take models and try and like, test them in the real world to see how things work. Now what you're doing is basically at the molecular level, I guess the particle level, simulating how fluids and things will work, right? Like you're basically simulating real life physics using these technologies. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the whole point of a simulation, right? And to do things in silico and make it much faster. But also, we take basically we use AI to simplify the expertise that you needed to run the simulation. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So basically, we're in a way to democratize this process, so people will not need the sophisticated expertise to run it.
Yeah, and I like this because you guys are niching down on a specific problem set of engineering and a specific use case that people actually have probably demand for. Do you yourself have experience in running these? Like, how did you hit on this problem of, simulations for fluid dynamics specifically?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
So we had a colleague who introduced us to this space, and we dived into it, and we found it really interesting because it is, like I said, it's a legacy space that has not been touched by the current cutting edge technology, especially AI, as well as the Web3 space, right? So we thought about there's something we can do right now, to maybe disrupt this industry a little bit. And the more we dive into it, the more we see it. Yes, it is possible to have major disruption in this industry.
Got it.
And could you also walk me through? I mean, I had this pulled up on your site, but could you walk me through who this is really built for? I mean, in your words on the site, researchers and individual engineers, companies. I think I'm trying to put a fuller picture together of the target audience here, and who you're going to be targeting. What kind of companies, what kind of businesses, what kind of people. Could you maybe just go into a little more depth on who this is built for?
Yeah, sure. So at the initial stage, we're just like developing this as a I guess a vibe coding tool for simulation. So it'll be at stage one. It'll be simplifying the life of the simulation engineer, right? So think about the typical workflow right now. Currently, when you run a simulation, right, you read one of those research paper. You kind of figure out from the research paper what type of parameters you have to set for the simulation, and those parameters I'm talking about like hundreds different hyperparameters you have to set, right? With AI, it can automatically set those parameters for you.
Yeah.
So that simplifies the life of the simulations engineer by an order of magnitude, I think.
And also, what you said, what is the target audience we have now? Let's say researcher, people from engineering domain who want to, let's say, people who do automotive, they're studying automotive. Instead of like just waiting like to get a license from the ANSI software, they could just try our tool to do the simulation they want. Maybe it should be announced about open sourcing maybe after.
Yeah, so for I'll just give you one simple use case. Like right now, we're discussing with one of a small startup company that's manufacturing those cylindrical fuel tanks for liquefied natural gas storage, right?
Yeah.
So what the bottleneck is that because they are a manufacturing firm, right? They don't have the simulation specialists to run those simulations. So they're looking for expertise. Or they want to outsource this function, right? So, and we're talking with them to have them to use our platform to run the simulations. So that will save them tremendous amount of money in terms of running simulation, because right now they're budgeting somewhere between 200 to 300K per year just to run a simulation, and that included the cost of a license for the simulation software, which is not cheap at all.
Yeah, and also CFD expert, they also cost a lot.
So yeah, I guess what I'm trying to end up honing in on is what becomes your go-to-market strategy. Figure out who you're targeting and how you're going to be able to make money doing this. And I think that's what's exciting. You're making, of course, like you said, this become like vibe coding for engineers. Are you targeting like universities when they're doing these engineering classes? Are you targeting engineering companies? And what's your go-to-market with this? How do you start selling the software product?
Yeah, sure. So the entire simulation or CFD simulation space, it's a huge space. Right? It runs across a different industry, the aerospace industry, automotive industry. So that's too big for us to tackle for head on, right? Yeah. So initially, we aim for one specific niche. So specifically the cryogenics tank market, right? So that's the industry where they manufacture those cylindrical cryogenics tanks for liquid gas storage. So in this case, specifically liquefied natural gas, right? As well as liquid hydrogen storage. And so we will become so-called an expert in this field, right? In terms of running simulation, and that's our wedge to get into the market, right? And we will concentrate on at this point more like a small medium enterprise, because they, their bottleneck is that they lack the resources to have expertise simulation to run in-house, right? So those are the companies we're focusing on, and that's our, I guess, approach for go-to-market.
And how have those conversations been?
Sorry?
Feel free to finish that thought.
Yeah, eventually once we settle, have a grasp on this cryogenics tank market, we will expand across to the other market as well, right? Because simulation is simulation, right? Once we have the platform ready, and it will not be much more work to just expand it to other domains.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head. You absolutely want to start by niching down and then expanding, and it seems like you're doing just that. So it's a fantastic strategy. How has the reception been to the people that are using this in the cryogenic industry, and what's their experience been like?
Yeah, so right now we're still at the very early stage. We have, I guess, a prototype developed, but it's not a full production-ready MVP that people can use yet, right? But we're like I said, we're in discussion with this cryogenic tank manufacturer, and it looks promising right now, and they're receptive to use our platform. But we want to finish the MVP as soon as possible, and then have them to try.
Got you. Yeah. Any further thoughts on that?
Open source? Yeah.
No.
Well, Bayan,
okay.
I guess he wanted to, at some point, he wanted to open source the development as well, because we can get much more traction as well. And so we're also exploring that open source model.
Yeah, we're exploring that because from the user who are using the product right now, the interest they have, they want to have Simulate Agent to be open source so that they could integrate that easily with their current workflow they have in the enterprise. So we're still considering making Simulate Agent open source. By doing that, we will have many students from university just to play around with the software. And if by the time they finish the study, if they know how to use Simulate Agent, even in company, they will basically use our software. This is maybe easy way to get customer in the early stage.
Customer acquisition. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the word. I'm not a business guy, but
I got you.
Love it. No. Yeah, it's a great strategy. So, do you guys think you're going to go through with that, or is it just being floated kind of internally as a potential idea?
It's one of the business model we're exploring right now, because we haven't decided exactly which way to go yet, because each has a pros and cons, right? Yeah. So we have to discuss with our customer as well as eventually investors as well.
Got you. Yeah, I guess another idea I wanted to float by you guys and see what you had to say about this is I'm not familiar with the industry again, like very, very clearly not familiar with it, but I am trying to understand the total addressable market here and how big this could really get to kind of give the audience and myself an idea of, I guess, the size of this market. Do you have any numbers on the total addressable market or just general thoughts on how big this industry is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So to give you a sense, so I'll break it down into this way. If you just look at the like the simulation software market, right? Like what people are currently using, just the software itself to run the simulation, and that comes down to, I think the latest number in 2025 was like somewhere around $3 billion market, right? But if you add additional feature like the simulation expertise, like a service type of a market on top of the software, right? That goes up to around $30 billion, right? But on top of that, if you like what we try to do is we bring not just the software, not just the expertise, but also the computation, right? So if you add the computation infrastructure on top of that, that comes goes over well over 50 to 60 billion dollars, right? So that I guess that will be the TAM for now, right? And that's I guess for us is exactly what we try to do. We provide not just the software but also the service itself, running the simulation in an automated way, and also the computational infrastructure to run the simulation. So for the companies, they don't need to invest in all those resources, right?
Yeah, and are you guys any hard dates on the full release date here for this? Like you mentioned, it's still in testing and you're trying to iron it out. Do you guys have a roadmap or any dates in place that you're looking to aim at?
So we are like our focus right now is to have the production ready MVP as soon as possible, right? Probably within the next few months, right?
Yeah.
But as far as the roadmap is concerned, I think what we had planned is a much more ambitious roadmap, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't. I can give you a little glimpse like what we had planned in the pipeline. So I guess in a way, like I said from the beginning, we try to disrupt this industry with the AI technology, right? So if you think about, I'll just make an analogy to the automotive industry, right? If you think about Tesla, right? It's disrupting it, or it had to disrupt the automotive industry. Are we still on?
Oh, yep. Sorry. I just wanted to really get the full thought here.
Yeah. So if you think about Tesla, right? How it disrupt the automotive industry? It did it in two ways. One, through autonomous driving, right? Two, it disrupted the core, whatever gasoline engine, it changed it to electric vehicle, right? So what we're trying to do here is, well, in the same way, we're disrupting this industry. So the SAMD agent right now to automate the workflow, think of that as autonomous driving, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, we had the more ambitious, further down the line approach where we want to change the core engine for running the simulation. Because right now, the simulation is run by those physics-based computational engine, right? Yeah. But the newest approach is using AI to replace this physics-based computation in a way so it's much faster, because the physics-based computation approach, it takes hours to days, whereas if you have an AI model to run that, it takes seconds to minutes. So that's a dramatic increase in efficiency, and that's what we had eventually down the line, right? So in a way, it's like we want to disrupt this industry, just like a Tesla disrupting the automotive industry.
I think that does a really good job at putting it into perspective for me. Are you guys seeking fundraising? You guys have this token, so when I get a better understanding of the token, was that your kind of route for fundraising here? how are you guys looking at that?
Yeah. So we can talk about the tokenomics a little bit if you want, and like
Okay, go.
but you want to talk about it?
Notion, maybe it's better to talk about fundraising part.
Okay. Yeah. So we are in the preliminary stage of discussing with the different investors about fundraising. So far, we have approached the traditional investors. I guess the one of the problem we encounter is the traditional investor, they don't want to touch anything related to Web3. So that's a difficulty, I guess, other people have experienced as well. So we're still figuring out the fundraising strategy, because we certainly don't want to abandon our supporters, because I think the Web3 community support us a lot from the beginning, right? So we want to stick with them. And it's just a matter of us finding the right investors who are willing to invest in a project that's combining both Web 2 and Web 3.
We cannot hear you.
You're muted, Dom. Yeah.
Sorry. And how are you guys looking at the tokenomics then? If you're making sure you want to keep the token community around, and they've done a lot for you guys in terms of support, what does the token model look like for you guys?
Yeah, so our idea is that eventually we have the token as a utility token, right? Because we will have our GPU infrastructure for running the simulations, and the token holder will get, I guess, rewarded by staking a token for having the GPU running simulations.
And the goal is like we have launched a token right now. Even if we have no experience with the Web3 part, like we came from the Web2 domain, we're talking to many people from the Web3 community. They help us like a lot how to think, how we could integrate the token inside the product, how we could kind of include a reward system. Like when a company pays, let's say if a company pays 5,000 for the simulation, we diffuse that 5,000 into the network, so that if a contributor from, let's say from Malaysia, has 10 GPU to run the simulation, and then if his GPU is running the simulation, then he could get like a reward in SIMD token. But in the middle, we could have like a reward, like we have to build our own on Solana, I guess on Solana blockchain, so that it could do like the conversion.
So my last question for you, I appreciate the context there. Last question for you. You mentioned that venture capital and funds are a bit unwilling to interact with anything Web3. Is your product off-chain, or are you guys using on-chain rails and Solana to actually build SIMD?
Like right now, if you want to make the simulation, you do the simulation off-chain. We now we also participating right now in the Solana Colosseum Hackathon, where we building the distributed layer, like the reward system, where it could at any time when the simulation is happening, we have like a parallel layer that match what is really happening, and then count the number of iterations done, and then like try to map that with the value, like the price. So we have like both, like off-chain and also on-chain. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I was just wondering how you guys were using the blockchain and all of this. Yeah, well, I appreciate this. I think we got a better idea. This is totally an industry that I'm unfamiliar with, but it's really cool to see how AI is advancing this and the possibilities for it. I do see like the videos of the simulated cars crashing into the walls to like test the safety of them, and it is fascinating. So I think you guys have everything you need in terms of you're niching down, you're targeting a very specific thing, and super interesting conversation. So I appreciate you guys coming on and sharing the vision with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. We'll be following, keep in contact, and let us know if any cool developments happen. We'll get you back on.
Thank you.
All right.
See you guys.
See you.
All right. That was the two interviews for today. Any closing thoughts? We had SIMD just now, and obviously Repo prior to this.
Repo was a great one. That was good to see those guys. Probably, in my opinion, that could be could do really well actually at 8 mil here. 60% lock rate. They have a lot of natural token sinks. There's demand because you need the token to spin up kind of your own little data subnet. And you know, Tau, what's Tau worth? Like billion or something? Like
Yeah,
worth a
3
lot.
billion.
3
something like that.
billion. So yeah, Repo's what, 8 million. Starting to get the exchange listings. I think where those guys have come from 6 months ago to now is thoroughly impressive. So
yeah, I think what we're going to need to see is Repo kind of, I mean, it seems like they are looking for incentives, but it'll be interesting to see Repo run some of these hackathons and have people start building on their platform and using some of this data, and seeing if it can build meaningful things that outcompete other benchmarks. Like they talked about the poly market agent that's done really, really well. Of course, TBD on when they release more information on that. But if it's truly beating out other agents and making better trades, I mean, there's a good test case right there. So, yeah, very cool.
Awesome. Yeah, let's get into some charts. Anything you're looking at, give the people some stuff to leave off here.
Definitely.
We already covered PMX, covered swarms. I know you wanted to talk about cards.
Oh gosh, yeah, I got a big I got a full list, boys. So let me start off at the off-chain level here, just kind of giving you a gauge on what the institutions are thinking, because I think we need to start with that. So real quick, interesting news from Western Union. During its Q1 earnings calls, Western Union said its Solana-based US dollar stablecoin, USDPT, is in its final stages of preparation and expected to launch next month as an alternative to SWIFT for cross-border settlements. And like, why I want to highlight this is I think it just continues to become more clear that banks and institutions are trying to dip their toes in it. And the stablecoin business, these people cannot get enough of. Anyone that's building the infrastructure right now for stable coins, QRs, payments, and I'm not talking about a wrapper on top of it, is going to be heavily rewarded. I think they're receiving a lot of money in funding. We're seeing yet Western Union and other banks and institutions building out this in a big way. So, you know, as soon as next month, USDPT, which is Western Union's native Solana stablecoin, should be launching as an alternative to SWIFT and cross-border payments. So again, heading in this direction, seeing institutions do stuff like this with stablecoins, seeing institutions get into the tokenized stock and tokenized equities market, tokenized private equities market is super fascinating as well. They're also getting into like prediction markets, which is a weird combo to see some of these more institutional players, you know, even Coinbase, some of these other players get into prediction markets because it kind of feels off brand. But nonetheless, thought I had the preference with that. But let's talk a bit about some of the stuff I saw happening over the weekend and maybe towards the end of the week. Cards is one we had on, and I thought it was super interesting. I just want to talk through some tweets I saw and maybe see if we can build a good bull case or bear case for cards here. Simon always does really good takes. Smart dude. He invests in, I think he has a liquid fund he's a part of. Let's see. Yeah, Moonrock Capital. So let's just read what he's got to say. This is one of the sexiest charts in crypto right now, and people are finally waking up. After constantly growing its user base and hitting new revenue all-time highs day after day, Collector is now on track for its highest earning month ever. Based on the past, which we obviously know from our show, based on the past 7 months, annualized net revenue is already at around 130 million annualized. There's 7 days, and they're doing 130 million in annual revenue. I mean, they're a top earning protocol right now. Who would have thought, if you would have told me a couple months ago that crypto or that Pokemon cards on chain was going to be one of the highest revenue generating protocols in crypto, I would have called crazy. Like absolutely no way is what I would have said. But this is a huge testament to RWA, and I think the emergence of some of these more untraditional, maybe more liquid assets being liquid. I'd be super interested or fascinated to see one of these card companies, maybe cards, someone that's leading, to actually have an option to tokenize what they pull. Right? If I went on to Collector Crypt and I pulled a rare one of one Piece or one of one Pokemon card or, PSA 10 Charizard, whatever it is, I would love for the option to, there could be a sell back option, ship to me option, or a tokenized option to where they actually execute, they put it on chain and it can be held by a ton of people. And maybe it even has some of those, maybe they actually partner with Pierre from Collat and do that model where if someone owns 30% or more of supply, they can actually take over the asset and earn it. I think that'd be a really interesting option, though. These people could collect fees, they could hold on to the asset in the meantime, or cards could custody it. But nonetheless, I just think that's an interesting thing. Do you think that's viable, Josh, or that we see that at some point, that you pull a sick card and it's either like, okay, you can keep it, get it shipped to your house, or we could custody it for a little while. You could sell it right back to us or tokenize. How do you feel about something like that?
I mean, I think we're seeing it now. Yeah. I mean, the thing with NFTs, and I'll go back to NFTs because I've been in the NFTs for a long time, since back in the day. Just like it was great until it wasn't. And when you have a physical card, you have something that someone can put on a shelf or someone can hold at home and have the optionality to do something with it. And this version, like, here's my take on this. I was thinking about this over the weekend. Like, cards could be the spark of what the NFT run in 2020 was. And, we know guys like, I hate to bring up Gary V, but he did V Friends. He has a card, TGC. We know the Moonbirds guy, who is a friend of mine. He built a TGC around it. It just seems like trading cards are the way this is kind of going. And so maybe trading cards spark kind of the next collectible run, and it kind of already has, but on-chain collectible run. And so, yeah, I don't know if I caught your piece there, but I think this could be the NFT run of 2020, starting with trading cards.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic take. I do. I think this is doing a lot of validation for RWA as a whole, and RWA and NFTs really did go hand in hand.
Like, if I think back to that time, sorry, just to extend my thought here, because something else popped in my head. But if I think back to that time, what NFTs did is, because previously in crypto was all about, disrupting banking and like sound money. And then there was DeFi that started out in 2017, 2018, 2019, trading. But what NFTs did, it was the first time that like artsy people, like mainstream people, were like DMing me being like, yo, my daughter created some art, like I'm going to tokenize it, or like I'm going to create an NFT of it. Like, no joke, I was getting those types of messages. And so it's kind of the first time people like looked at crypto as like a viable thing to do. And I know COVID and everyone was at home and they were like speculating, but like all of a sudden Christie's is doing auctions. This is a mainstream thing that people have done since they were kids. And now it just happens to be interacting with crypto. And if there's anything right now that crypto needs, like meme coins, you could argue was kind of that, but it still hasn't brought in, outside of the last kind of meme coin bull run where you had whiff, etc. No one's come back. So this seems like the most kind of real thing that's bringing people from off chain onto on chain, which is cards. So just to extend it, that's kind of something I thought.
What's compelling to me about this too is that it seems like the first viable attempt at bringing illiquid, card markets on chain. And I think that's highly because a lot of these people are collecting these, because they love Pokemon, but also because we've seen a massive, I was going to say meteoric, but just a massive rise in general of the values of these cards just jumping up. And so like there is a financial side to this where it's like, okay, maybe I can't go and buy a $10,000 card right now, but I can buy 1% or I can buy 10% of it. Right, I can spend $1,000 on it and get the liquid upside of that if it ever does go to.
And the financialization piece is like you mentioned, is so critical, because if NFTs didn't go up in value, if CryptoPunks didn't hit hundreds of thousands of dollars, I guarantee you Gary Vaynerchuk's not talking about. He's not doing a crypto project. Like the world's just not talking about NFTs. But because these things, people make money on these things. People like do the research and they go down the rabbit hole. They're like, oh, I know Pokemon cards. And basically what this has done is created a liquid Pokemon card market. Before, like, it wasn't liquid. You got it in, you go to a garage sale, you get a good one, you put it in the PSA vault, you grade it, then it goes on eBay. Like, I'm sorry, that's not liquid. This is tokenized. This is liquid. And this is really what, like, the whole point of Solana, it really is like to create a tokenized marketplace.
I have an interesting thought. Kind of going back to what we said, it's either, you get the card, you can keep it, You can sell it or you can tokenize it. I would almost want to see these cards work on like an options market contract or a futures market. So you get a card and there's a guarantee in 6 months this will go for auction, guaranteed. You can tokenize it right now, and in 6 months we will put this up for auction, and then the proceeds will be distributed to everyone holding fractionally. I think that's a really interesting concept, because if you do believe that these cards are going to continue to go up, you know, ideally you just put a futures contract. It's like going long on a card. If I think Charizard's going to go up in value from 10,000 to 15,000, 50% in the next 6 months, well, I can basically opt in on a futures contract by buying the liquid shares. And then I know when it gets sold, it's either going to get sold at lower price than I bought it for, same price I bought it for, or a higher price. And now I actually have the financial upside of these cards. I think that would be a more interesting market than an indefinite tradable asset. I actually think it would be better to have it be more like a futures contract, to where at one point we know it's going to get sold. Maybe there's a DAO that votes to extend it from 6 months to 12 months, or, you know, there's different optionality on how long that futures contract is. But I think this is a really, really interesting opportunity where now it gives you trading fees and proceeds from the sale. So, nonetheless,
we need new narratives in crypto. We need something, business models that catches attention outside of crypto, and this certainly is it. This 100% is it.
Well, I mean, the charts speak for themselves. I mean, it's hyper liquid and it's collector crypt. Like, whoa, when did this happen, man? This is crazy. So again,
only on MCG you got the alpha, like, you know, 2
course.
months ago, guys. Like, of course, obviously.
So with that long, you know, that long conversation Josh and I just had, let me just get back to the cards thesis here, because we had it on MCG. I'm going to give context on the chart. I think it's only right. So we had them on. Now, of course, we didn't get too much on the token because I'm like, you know, what's going on with the token? They're like, well, I'm not the token guy. But of course, you can find stuff on this, which is fair. Okay, we had them on back here on MCG. So, I mean, since this point, up 112%, at the peak 212%, pretty much bottom ticked. I mean, doesn't get much better than that. That's for context. But again, charts had this very massive run up when it first launched. People were excited. It was doing great revenue. Again, revenue here is much lower than revenue here. We are at the highest revenue generating week for cards in all of history. And this is where the price was a few months ago compared to today. There's a discrepancy, right? There's a big discrepancy there. And so with that being said, we're on this dip and it seems like smart money has been accumulating. Now the question becomes, okay, well, what are the tokenomics looking like? How valuable should the token be? How much is VC holds? What do emissions look like? And that's something I had answered for me on Twitter. And again, I'm still doing my DD on this. But when you look at cards and you look at an FDV of 170 million and a market cap of 21.8 million, and they're doing more than 100, you know, they're doing their FDV in yearly revenue, you got to start looking at things a little more critically here, because there could be an opportunity of brewing. So let me read some of these tweets. Simon says, this is one of the sexiest charts in crypto right now. People are finally waking up after consistently growing its user base and hitting new revenue all-time highs day after day. And that's the thing that's nice about cards. This is not like a random lucky spike based on some announcements. Look at the slow growth of this. Like this platform is getting massive traction, not just in Web3 and in Web2, I think predominantly.
Yeah.
After consistently growing its user base and hitting new all-time highs, Collector is now on track for its highest earning month ever. Annualize the last 7 days, you get a net revenue of around 130 million. That doesn't just make it one of the most profitable protocols in crypto. It also makes it one of the most overlooked and undervalued. Cards is finally starting to catch attention and build momentum. Unicorn in the making. Okay, cool. Parlaying into another tweet from Simon. This is one of the most impactful charts I've seen in all on-chain platform. 33.4% of all cards pulled from the gacha are kept by user, amounting to 23.5 million worth of cards on Collector Crypt alone. When I was talking to other investors about platforms like Collector or Breezy, I often get asked whether this is just gambling. This is what I think is interesting here. But based on our conversation, we know cards is plus EV to actually play their gacha. So is it gambling? Simon says it's not. Yes, there are speculators, but these metrics clearly show a meaningful share of users are actually collectors chasing grails they intend to keep. At its core, this is gamification of collecting and of commerce more broadly. It may not be obvious yet, but the great gachification of whatever on-chain is now, Gen Z will engage with commerce in the future. It's an interesting take. But I do agree with one thing that makes cards so special is it is plus EV, plus expected value to actually participate in the gacha, assuming you're not going to resell to them every single time. But you can see here 33.4% of all cards pulled from the gacha are kept by users. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Following on to this, it is really good. And I don't want to make this too long, but there's a lot of really interesting things I want to just highlight here. Following on to this. But I'm scared. Looking at unlock schedule, only about 13% of cards supply is circulating and will continue to be unlocked by VCs. What I want to point out is that the team is actively trying to buy back VC allocation. So we were wondering what the token is being used for. They have this treasury of money. What could it be possibly used for? Well, it seems like based on DeFi Zard's information, they're actually right now going to the VCs and trying to buy back that supply they sold to them right now, rather than having them go and sell on the open market. So further reducing sell pressure. Yes, there might be a little sell off from dead VCs that need to liquidate everything, but this can be absorbed very quickly if the token continues to grow. PS, wait until September if you're a pussy. Now I'll say this. I would actually like a VC sell-off here, because if Cards is truly doing something meaningful and their tokens going to be valuable in the process, I would love to get it at cheaper values. And I know people are like, oh, I just want my token to go up now, but it is what it is. I just need to look into tokenomics more. So so we can see the breakdown here. So 36% in the foundation multi-sig, so that's probably going nowhere. 20% to the community, so 56% between that. 2.5 in Radium LP, Genesis launch pool 5%, team 20%. So again, another 20% for the teams. Teams really got 56% here. So assuming that they're not going to sell that like a foundation, assuming they don't need to, considering they're doing good revenue, that stays locked. Advisors 4.3%. Those guys probably end up selling. Seed 3.67% to VCs, pre-seed 8.2% to VCs. So, between these, about 13% to VCs. So there's 13%. Then everything else, yes, it is. So the fully diluted value is 170 million. Circulating is 21 million. I need to see the unlock schedule, but assuming most of this doesn't get sold from the foundation, the Genesis launch pool, and the team, basically just one way to say team, Genesis launch pool, and team again are holding majority of supply. Community's got 20. So 20% circulating, 13% yet to be unlocked based on admission. And it looks like 2.5% Genesis airdrop. So there's 13% unlocking for VCs. Apparently the team is actually buying back that. Interesting. Now I want to add two sides to this, right? Because Colleen makes a good point. He said, I'm bullish collector crypt and the founder, but talking about cards using the sticker price of 17 million market cap is not a fair take. Fair adjustment market cap right now is actually 100 million if you look at how much of the token will reasonably be unlocked in the next year. So I guess with unlocks and emissions, we see that jumping up quite a bit. So I would say when you're looking at cards, probably take it off the fully diluted valuation, which is still, I think, cheap considering their revenue. So I think this is a good way to look at it. He wants good discourse. I agree. Let's have good discourse on it. But I'm gonna take a step. I'm gonna take a step back. I still have 2 more tweets to go over, but I think I have my point across. Look at the revenue leaderboards here. Collector Crypt is sitting right behind Hyperliquid, a multi-billion protocol with 1.1 billion earnings. Hype is trading at 32x price to earnings. Now, of course, we know they're doing buybacks with almost all of that, though. So there's more clarity. Keep that in mind. Well, Cards is sitting at a 0.4x price to earning. So if Cards even did a 10% buyback, it's still undervalued compared to Hype. If Cards did 20%, more so, 30%, so on and so forth. Now, Hype does nearly 98% or whatever, or 95%. So something to point out here. Look at the protocols based on fees. 24-hour revenue, 16 million Tether, 7 million Circle, Canton, 2.3 million Tron. We get down here to Collector Crypt, about 335K, 1.15 million, 7-day revenue, about 4 million, 30-day revenue, and 32 yearly revenue. But of course, they've been having consistent upticks in this, so you can factor in some growth metrics as well. So I'll take the time now to field any questions or any comments, Josh, because I just went on a fat monologue.
No, pull the chart open again. I think this is interesting. Man, I can't believe how far this has come. So April 7th is when we had the stream. And then it took a week for it to get kind of noticed. I mean, some people noticed it, but then it started getting around in trading kind of circles. And then I think this is a repricing. I don't know. I don't know if you buy this here. I mean, I don't have a position in this. I'm sidelined in it, but I'm like Dom. Like, I'd love to see this correct back.
I will probably. Okay. Full disclosure, I'll probably turn on a DCA if this keeps dipping. I want to see more so like on what the token value actually adds. But if this has any sort of tie to the economics of the business, I mean, assuming that in a year, 100 million out of the 170 million fully diluted value, 100 million is, circulating, called like 60-70% of supply. Again, it's still yeah.
What did Avi said? Avi said for running a Series A at 750, they need to be making something like 30 million in revenue.
And they are. So that would value this closer to $1 billion company.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, they're doing crazy numbers. And
they're doing
this thing is blowing
dummy numbers, bro. This is wild.
So yeah, I mean, this does feel more. I mean, yeah, if I get a dip, I'll probably be DCAing a good bit on this. I just need to go do two things. One, confirm tokenomics and emission schedule, right? How much am I going to get dumped on in the next next year?
So their tokenomics were that they were buying the Cards token, I believe, as rewards to users, by the way.
That was one of them. Yes.
That was one of them.
But I need to get more clarity on, again, like how this ties to the economic value of the company. If it's got no tie, then maybe I'm not interested. But if it's got ties to the company that's doing like 100 million annualized based on last week, 130 million annualized based on last week, yeah, I want a piece of that at, whatever reasonable valuation I can get. So I'm watching Cards. I would love a dip on this. I would say you should probably watch it too. This is a classic late early setup. We talk about the different cycles, right? There's early. That's right here. You're here in the first 3-4 days. You're buying this for that pre-seed and seed round. This is early. Okay. This is, whatever, just price action. This now in retro, assuming this is late early. Okay. Assuming that Cards continues to grow, you have this mania here. You've had time to digest what they're doing. You're seeing the growth happening. You're still early in the swing of things, right? Assuming Cards gotcha still grows, we kind of get this run. Maybe we have tokenized markets. There's still a lot of room to go here. Well, we're still late early, and this could, correct to new all-time highs. That's the idea. So when I look at this, I'm thinking this is a good late early entry. I'm not the first 3-4 days. I didn't get the initial run up, but here I have a second chance at it now when it's kind of bottomed out. I have all the information. They're doing media runs. Their numbers are great. And it seems like this narrative is getting to the point where there's a ton of mania. So this feels like a late early trade. Okay, we're still early, but we're not day 1, 2, and 3. So that's how I'm looking at this. Nonetheless, I do like Cards, looking to possibly DCA if we dip down and my criterias are met. So
and remember, they did a partnership with GameStop. So we don't even know what that.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I don't think they did a partnership with GameStop. We saw the announcement, but they never confirmed that was the Collector Crypt team.
GameStop.
We saw GameStop was doing gotcha, but I think they were independently doing gotcha.
Okay, I thought it was with them. Okay, maybe I miss. I'm just verifying this. You can go on to the next thing. If it's true, I'll pipe back in.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was just GameStop, which is we agreed was a great pivot, but I'm pretty confident GameStop just said, "Hey, we're going to start offering this on our end as well." Now, maybe
one thing that they did mention is they have this white label marketplace service, and he did mention that they have a really big partnership. I don't know if that's GameStop, but yeah, just letting you know.
Well, again, and once Cards becomes the dominant winner, fastest horse, these white labels are very valuable for someone like GameStop who just should be doing this. They don't want to have to work on any of it in the back end. They can just plug and play. And Cards is still eating off of everything GameStop does and so on and so forth. So let me see the chat. New Elon versus Sam Altman ticker scam. Elon versus Sam Altman launched. Meme coin, but it's also Elon. But it's a Elon started coin. Okay. Or Elon tweet coin. Okay, it's an Elon tweet coin. Okay, interesting. Interesting. I mean, Elon tweet coins just aren't in there. We're not frothy enough right now. Man, I remember when Elon would tweet a coin, it would just go straight to fucking 30 million. Or tweet a word that gets tokenized, basically wasting all your profits to provide extra liquidity on a token that does not represent ownership. Okay, is that your take, Fumbler, on cards? Yeah, again, if cards has if it has no equity tied to the company, if it has no effect from market or company economics, then there's probably no interest there. If it does, there's a ton of interest. What ownership model would you like to see Collector Crypt adopt? I think that's a question I think maybe for Top Fumbler, but it's a good question that we can talk about too. What would make you be like, man, cards is super desirable? Man, I think, they've had so much success. I think they could do anything. I don't even think they need an ownership model. I think they could literally have a buyback, like a hyperliquid style buyback thing implemented. Where if they buy back with 25% of profit, like that's going to suffice for making this reprice, to be honest. Sure. I mean, yeah, I think for on-chain companies, really, like if this is a true on-chain company, I don't think they need equity. I do think if they have the buybacks or they have some sort of network work effect, it's actually better. Because I would like to see them expand and go into that whole like futures contract Pokemon cards thing I just explained. I think that's super interesting. So I actually would opt for more of a buyback model, I think, for this rather than equity. Although they could do it in tandem, like, I don't know, throw 10% equity in SPV and then also have some sort of buyback. So there's like some sort of floor, I guess. The SPV and the equity structure is nice because it kind of instills a floor at any point in time. What was the last raise? And assuming they're still growing, you can assume that's probably still a fair valuation. So I think maybe an equity model just for a little bit of percent of equity to chuck in there. And then the rest can be a buyback and burn. I would say buyback and burn. Yeah, buyback and burn, add scarcity to the token, I think. Maybe they buy back and save half in treasury, burn half, and keep half as emissions and rewards for people. But again, like if you just put it in a treasury and then go give it to people for challenges, they're just going to sell, so it causes sell pressure. But I know they are using bought back cards tokens for things currently, so. But I don't know if that answers your question fully. I do like the ACE model a lot, though. I really like the ACE model, assuming it gets some tweaks. Nonetheless, let's move on from that. Either way, AI has been jumping recently. So let's cover this real quick. Now, this jumped, which, of course, they're coming on this week, so you got to tune in for this. Either way AI, they're basically building a, you have an idea, you can build on their platform and go from idea to product and token if you want it in one go. That's kind of what Either Way is doing. They're running hackathons. People are using it now. We're going to have them on. Going to talk about some of the project coming out of the hackathon. Tokens at 15.5 mil. I think we're going to need more clarity on them, on like how the token is actually implemented. I believe this is a virtual style model. So anyone that builds a product and publishes it, it's tied to Either Way, right? So how virtuals kind of had that big run earlier. I guess you could say Either Way may be doing the same thing. Good backing, projects looking really good. People recently bought this up, I think, based on a conversation they had with Stripe. Now, I say this because I say be cautious. Yes, Either Way posted about Stripe, but they never confirmed that they have a partnership with Stripe. Okay, great to connect with Patricia, LOL. Great to connect with Patricia from Stripe here at Miami Tech Week, discussing potential synergies and plans for the future. Excited to build alongside such a prestigious company. Oh, that does indicate excited to build alongside such a prestigious company. Stripe is the leading financial infrastructure platform and has been embedded in Either Way's tech stack since our inception, processing payments for over 75% of Forbes AI top 50 utilized by leading companies such as Anthropic, OpenAI, and Mistral. We're excited to be a part of their ecosystem. Okay, I guess this does sound, I mean, it sounds like they're definitely using Stripe. Here, let's see what Patricia has to say. Let me just stop sharing now and reshare because I know it's not going to work with audio. Let's just see what she had to say.
Hi, this is Patricia Tavira, the Stripe Miami community builder. And I'm here with Renata Garro, the CEO of the Cloud and also advisor at DOE. And I want to know how do you use Stripe?
Yes, thank you, Patricia. Either way has integrated natively Stripe to be able to facilitate payments on platforms that anybody can build either way. So if you go to eitherway.ai, you can build any app, Web 2 or Web 3, and natively integrate payments. So you can build e-commerce sites, maybe platforms where you can monetize your subscriptions.
They mentioned Stripe synergy,
Monetize that with Stripe. So we're excited about the partnership.
which seems to be what caused the bump.
It's a pleasure working with Stripe. Thank you so much, Patricia.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, they're working with Stripe. People seem to like that. It got a pump for the Either Way token. I mean, holding nicely. Crypto Jones, that volume looks sus. You know, I thought the exact same thing when this launched. I was like, man, this is some like inorganic volume, this pump up, but it's held up nicely. I was cautious back here, and I was cautious all here because I'm like, oh, at some point it could just nuke. And I do have to just go analyze the holders a little bit more in volumes, but they got 4.4 million in volume today, pretty good. Stripe announcement happened here, I think, and it's since pumped. So I don't know, it seems like there's some organic nature to it. But I'd have to go check distribution. We'll get more of a scoop on that from them, of course. So that's the Either Way update. Again, looking good. Just want to keep your eyes on if they can, if they integrate Stripe. They had a Google Cloud guy speaking who was who's an advisor. Seems like the team's there. Just execution could it be something big? I'm not sure yet, but just thought I'd highlight that for you guys. Let me exit out of all this card stuff. Josh, anything you want to, and here, you know what? I'll push this to you, Josh. Spencer Kinney from Orgo, founder of Orgo, said, returning to X to be terminally online once more. We'll post in the AM. This was a big relief for everybody. Orgo got a bounce off of it. Everyone's still wondering, what's going on with Orgo? What's the developments? Are they going to be a part of Street? Coming on Thursday, they're going to break everything down for you guys. So we're excited to hear from them. But I'm just going to pass it back to Josh. He's the Orgo guy. Any comment on this?
Bro, I have no more insights than anyone else has because I'm terminally online and been following this project from day one, and I don't know. We'll have to hear from Spencer this week is what I'll say. I don't have any knowledge beyond what you guys have already and what we've seen on the timeline. But I mean, go back to the daily.
Got you.
I can't imagine you get terminally online to just like rug your token holders, to be honest with you. So I think people will get kind of what they're looking for, hopefully this week. What that looks like, guys, I don't know. Again, like all of you, I don't know.
He shared a new feature and update, which is this multiplayer feature we built to make running computer use agents easy. Here's a quick video of Claude ordering pizza and setting up Claude code on the same computer.
To select how much resources you want on the. All right, wanted to record a quick video here to show our
2x speed, boys.
Multiplayer features that we built. So this right here is our Orgo workspace, and kind of show you a really easy way to work with computer use agents. So I'm sitting here with Nick. You can see his cursor here, and we can go ahead and click new computer, and it's really easy to select how much resources you want on this computer, and then just kind of launch it. And you can see here there's our desktop, our chat, and there's also, you can see a terminal window here. Check that out. So I'll just give it a simple prompt. Let's just say, let's build a form together, filter test data. And in this form example, it's like a pizza order form. So Nick's just saying, okay, we want pepperoni pizza. So he changed the prompt here, and we're using Claude. And there's also a terminal that goes with this computer. So I'm going to send this by the way. This is running Claude Opus. So Claude's going to control the computer.
Again, infrastructure for AI is going to be very valuable.
And then Nick here are going to get set up in the terminal. And the terminal feature also is really good, really useful to set up like Hermes agent or OpenClaw or install any sort of agent onto the computer. Just like a really easy way. So you can see here, I'm talking through this chat to Claude, and Claude, you can see his cursor is filling out this form for me, while Nick is inside this terminal setting up a different agent. So it's kind of one single workspace where we can all work together very easily and kind of building for the kind of agents.
That's cool.
Interfacing really easily with Claude. So you can see Claude is starting to go through the pizza order and is putting in just some random data, but the kind of the preferred time and delivery instructions.
So again, now, I mean, a lot of the fears.
So pause here, because
I think it should.
This was something he announced on our last stream, was this co-working feature, and that's what they're doing, right? So one person's doing a pizza order, one person's setting up an OpenClaw agent. And this is, again, the fight around Orgo was, oh, the foundation labs are going to have computer use built in, and that, I can just get a Mac Mini. And I think what he's saying is, the foundation models coming in with computer use are helpful for his business, because instead of taking screenshots and then identifying stuff on the screen, they'll actually know what to use and do. It'll improve the actual usage of the agents using the computers, the Orgo computers. And then two, they're like the ability to have 100 of them working together and have a bunch of them working together is one of the key things. Maybe turn the volume back on here.
Try it out and hopefully give us your switch. We have all these models here. Let's just switch to GPT 5.5, which is the newest GPT model, and say, hey, can you close this window? We are done. So it's really easy to switch between all the latest models here. And then we also have a full API. You can build on top of build custom computer use agents. So we kind of spawned in GPT there, and then it kind of completed as well. But this is kind of our first idea and iteration of having multiplayer computers on Orgo. You can try it out and hopefully give us your feedback and let me know what you think.
Yeah, no, I think it's a cool update.
Computers. It is a cool update. Man, it's just, we got to get this information on X.
What does it mean for the token is what it comes down to. It seems like there's been no further communication with Street or any information on that. So I would not sit here and assume Orgo is going to go down the equity route for the token whatsoever. So don't do that. We just need more clarity, but it does seem to be more active, which is a great start. So again, this is a situation where we need more clarity on token. We need more clarity on the equity side, all that good stuff. More clarity on if they're planning on raising, what's been done, traction, all that stuff. But we got the first box checked, which is, okay, he's going to be more active and start talking a bit more about these updates. So at least monitor the situation, because you can get information before I think most people realize it. Again, doing some quick equity math on this, which I'll just run by real quick. Orgo is trading at a 1 million market cap. The 2.1 million FDV, that's 50%, is out of circulation for the time being. More clarity on what's happening with that. Is Spencer going to burn it? Is he going to keep it?
He's mentioned about burning it before, just to note.
Yeah, so we're going to take the 1 million market cap as a circulating supply, and kind of count out that fully diluted value. We're going to ask him Thursday what he's going to do with that, non-circulating supply. But let's do the math here. And I'm going to take this to equity because that's all I have to go based on here. Let's say he does the 5% like Kled did. Really, really, really would like him to do much more than 5%, but I'm not. I'm going to I think 5% is bare minimum. You go below 5%, it's a slap in the face. So I think 5% is bare minimum. So if they take 5% and put that into equity, what would that make the perceived equity of this? So 1 million, 20. This would give us a 20 million perceived equity. Okay. And Josh is gonna be the quick math guy on here because he's better than me. So assuming that this is trading at a 20 million perceived valuation, I think that's still a bit low. I think we know Orgo has a good product. They could probably go raise at more like a 30 million. So at this level, you're looking at probably slightly below fair value. If he does 10%, that goes from 20 to 40 million, or 20 to 10 million, excuse me. If they do 20%, that goes from 10 to 5 million, right? My math is right there. So nonetheless, right now is fair value if you assume that they put 5% equity towards the token, or what I would perceive as fair value. Again, what value do you think Orgo is valued at? Is 20 million? Would they be able to go raise 20 million from VCs right now? Probably. I would say probably.
Yeah, 30. We got to understand a little more of kind of how they've gotten traction on the business side. So I think if they've gotten a lot of traction on the business side, this story changes. To me, this looks like Orgo has been pivoting a little bit in terms of what they're doubling down on. I think pure computer use wasn't, that thesis came and was right, but the foundation models look like they're getting more into that versus needing to outsource that to a third-party product like Orgo. I think where Orgo wins is the bare metal racking, which is, okay, can you spin up hundreds of them, again, have them work in concert with each other, which I think is a key part of the story. Have them do things like multiplayer, which means have multiple people collaborating on them. You could think of teams of engineers collaborating on these different Orgo agents, and then selling compute to them, which is like, okay, you need extra processing, right? Because right now with Orgo, you can't play a video game on Orgo. The agent can't play video games. It needs that additional compute capacity, and Orgo can provide that. So to me, Orgo's gone from being less of the foundation of computer use to more like using computer use in these other layers like compute and like the collaboration and, like he mentioned, the security, and kind of packaging that all together to create like a you know, I think the thesis of like autonomous organizations is still correct, but we haven't seen anyone really nail that one yet. So yeah. So I think just we were really early, but like, again, you don't want to get trapped where you're competing with like the foundation models for like computer use. And that's what he's trying to avoid, is like, how can we build a business and layer in value here? So that's what I'll say on that.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just too many unknowns. Like, I don't know what the right answer is, to be honest with you. And we'll hear it from Spencer, but
yeah, but I will just map this out for everyone so you can have a visual on it. 10%. So assuming 20% is fair, or assuming $20 million equity valuation is fair value. Right now, this would be the fair value if he puts 5% equity on chain. And again, there's no guarantee he puts any equity on chain, guys. But I'm just going to map this out. So you have visuals here. And yes, we are very much in a downtrend. So 5% equity on chain, fair value at 20 million here. If he puts 10% equity on chain, this is a fair value here at about 4. Now, if he puts 20%, that jumps up to 8. So 20%. Now, I don't believe he's probably going to go anywhere over this 20% mark. So again, this is kind of a visual representation. If you think Orgo is fairly valued at a 20 million valuation, 5% equity coming on chain would put this at pretty much the floor. Now, if they put 10% on chain, that would be 40 million. This would be the floor. So that would be another 100% from here. And if they go up to 20% equity on chain, that would be about 300%. So just so you know the different outcomes if they do put equity on chain, these are like the different value marks that it should jump to.
yeah, and I agree with the sentiments in this chat here. You know, downtrend.
Terrible
I just dislike
Terrible
Orgo's chart. I mean, like, you're 100% right. And back in Feb, when the Claude bot narrative was really starting to gain traction, it was like obvious that Orgo was going to be a huge benefactor of that narrative. And just, you know, I think at the time, like, we didn't have this, you know, what equity percentage, if any, like, we just didn't know what they were doing. It was so unclear that it kind of killed that momentum. Yeah. And like Rev stats were growing, you know, they talked about getting millions of API requests a day from like very low traction to like all of a sudden people testing it out. So I don't know. It just seemed like it was right time, right place. Anyone who's been along Orgo knew we were ahead of computer use. All of a sudden it happened and unfolded in front of us. Moltbook, what did Moltbook run to? Like 180 million or something like that? Or like Clawbot?
I know it hit 100.
or
It
something?
definitely hit 100, but I can't remember exactly.
Like these things went to hundreds of millions and they were like just meme coins. And the guy said that did he claim fees? I don't even think he claimed fees on it.
No,
and it
he
still
said he
ran to
hated it.
100 million. He hated crypto. He basically said, I hate crypto and I'm self-funding it myself. So with all that context in the background, that narrative still ran like crazy, right? Moltbook ran to like astronomical value. But for some reason, I mean, this didn't. So
you blame Street? I don't think it's fair to blame Street on this. I mean,
tough to say, man.
Did Orgo publicly say he was? I think Spencer publicly said he was considering Street. So I mean, it's not like Street came out and built this whole narrative up. You know, I don't know. Whatever. Blame who you want. To be honest,
I swear that they had some comms. I don't know if it's still on the timeline, but there were some comms around.
Yeah, I think someone made a post and someone commented on it. Street and Spencer, like they've interacted publicly. So
yeah, I don't know. Look, we don't want to get into it a little too much. There's a lot of stuff like we don't know here in the back and forth, but they both, I mean, for what it's worth, and something we can say is on stream, they both did recognize that they were talking to each other about this kind of stuff. And but clearly, you know, obviously it's not on street. For goodness sake, Clyde isn't even on street yet officially. So
yeah, it is.
okay,
Yeah,
it is, but like, are the details launched? Like, is it fully launched?
Yeah, dude, we covered the announcement last week.
Okay, so it's fully launched. I might not have been there.
Okay. Yeah, fully launched. Street came out, posted the contract. Clyde posted it. Fully launched.
Okay.
So they launched their new tokenomics update. Then they launched the Street. And actually on that note too, really great stat that Avi shared. Like, boys.
What's the okay? Well, hold on. What's the quote behind you, Dom? What's Tay quote?
Oh, that's Jeremiah 29:11. My favorite Bible verse. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. It's a great quote.
I got a Bible verse in my house too. It's something Joshua, which I'm named after. But I was gonna say top Funmer. I wonder if it was like live, laugh, love or something that you were seeing behind us.
No, Jeremiah 29:11. Great Bible verse about the Lord's plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and putting your faith in Him. So shout out Jeremiah 29:11. Yeah, 5% aren't too glad you weren't early.
You were early. Oh man, not so glad, but we're out here. We're out here trying to decipher as we go along.
Why does Avi say zero marketing spend? That is just a lie. I have no clue what the context is there. Absolutely no clue.
I mean, but maybe paid ads, right? Like
no paid ads. Yeah, I don't think there's been any. Yeah, there's been marketing spend on, I think, like high quality stuff for their Twitter and for pitch decks and branding. But I think the UGC stuff or like people you see posting about Clyde, I think is non-paid. Nonetheless, look at this growth. I continue to be a Clyde bull, and it's still fundamentally undervalued here, and I'll continue to say it. I think this goes very quickly from raising at the 280 we just saw to that 500 million to 750 million mark. Like very quickly. The growth here is incredible. Like it's undeniable, the growth. Great update here. Almost 1 year since Clyde launched. Here's the full chart showing daily uploads on our platform has processed over time. We're comfortably on track to do 5 billion uploads this year. And you can see launch early in May 2027, web app launch, mobile app launch, waitlist. Man, that's me back there. I think I'm user like number one of their first 100 users. Mobile app open launch here, December 13th. Announcement spike. Look at the stats though. Current daily uploads, 5.6 million uploads a day. Their peak uploads, which was recently April 23rd, reached 7.2 million per day with 1.1 total uploads and 5.6 million per day. So incredible growth. I mean, that's a beautiful chart. It's healthy. It's up and to the right. I mean, that's the exact chart you want to see. So continue to be bullish on Clyde. I think like it's blowing up. They're number one now. So I'll actually go to Avi's profile. They're number one now in the finance category on the App Store in like Malaysia and stuff. We've done 6 million views per week with zero marketing spend in just Asia alone. Our affiliate system has motivated thousands of people to make posts on X, Threads, TikToks, Instagram, Reddit. We are permanently increasing our affiliate system payout rate from this date forward. Refer your friends and now earn off of their uploads. Again, this is something that like a lot of these countries that have lower wages are going to be inclined to do. Over the past few days, Clyde has hit number one on the App Store and finance charts in Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. We've run a risk analysis on over 400 million data uploads from these regions and have found these to be some of our highest quality uploaders. Thank you to all the users that keep uploading great content. So number one in the App Store. Again, this is why I get the Axie Infinity style feel. I keep telling you guys about this Axie Infinity feel that I'm getting from Clyde. It feels like an Axie Infinity gamification in with a less frothy app, right? It's not pure financial gamification. It's okay, I'm actually uploading something. I'm earning money based on it. Now I can reinvest this. So I really like what Clyde is doing with their system. So bullish on Clyde. I think it's fundamentally undervalued. I'll show you the chart. Again, $280 million valuation, 5% on chain, with options to execute up to 10% on chain over time at priced rounds. Fair value should be at least 14.5 million. So this is just fundamentally undervalued.
But that we're talking about floor. That doesn't include the network effects potentially here.
Yeah. Just from an equity standpoint, this is literally fundamentally less valuable. This equity, this SPV holds, is less valuable than the last $280 million raise. And you see the growth. I mean, I just showed you a chart of how much they're growing. You just saw a chart of how much they're growing, and you just saw how people are talking about it in Malaysia and some of these other countries, and the Philippines. Do you think CLED IPOs? I think IPO or acquisition. Yeah, I really do. I do. I'm pretty convinced CLED goes into the unicorn status.
Yeah. I mean, you got to understand how these data companies have been aggregating data is like by hiring people to like go out and get it like this. And this is way better. This is such a better model. And it's so obvious too, to be honest with you, at the end of the day.
It's so obvious. And we just had a repo on talking about this. What did I write down as? Decentralized quality control via aligned incentives, right? So repo is decentralizing quality control of data via aligned incentives. If you like something that comes through, you can verify it, get paid. If 20 people verify it and one person says this is not good, well, that one person is going to be docked. He's obviously wrong. CLED's doing the same thing that repo is doing here, except for CAPTCHA and verifying data, which is really interesting as well for just like the tokenomic side. So again, I think CLED goes on to get acquired or potentially IPO, but nonetheless, I'll 5% is lower than I would have liked. You know, I guess over an indefinite period of time, I assume this reaches that 10%, but incredible growth. So again, tokens down compared to the last raise they had, yet the growth metrics are up only, and they have not released their Android app. Remember, this is number one in finance in Malaysia. Let me get the exact places again. Yeah, number one on the App Store in Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines without releasing Android. Once they release the Android, I think you're going to see these numbers double very quickly.
Oh yeah, like I think 80% of phones are Android in these markets, probably even more.
Yeah, you're right, Josh. So doublings, probably 5x's these numbers. So is this financial advice? Sure, Daddy Duster. Sure, this is financial advice, bro. Like, just looking
according to Dom.
Yeah,
not according to anyone else.
No, but I'm going to get off this. I'm going to get off the CLED situation, but I do think this is like, I have a ton of CLED. I probably buy more, honestly, at these levels, because I do think they go raise from this $300 million mark to 750 to a bill to $5 billion, so on and so forth. I do. And I see a lot of, I'm like, for what it's worth, guys, I'm hard shilling CLED, but I'm a really picky trader. Like, I want to be clear with you, because I'm a really picky trader. I hold like very few things. I see hundreds of projects come through our show, you know, on a monthly basis, and I buy almost none of them, partially because the market conditions are terrible, but also because like you see so much at some point, you know what is kind of going to work and whatnot. So CLED's one of those for me. Did you see this, Josh? This little teaser that Soar released?
Just real quick on this, my thoughts about the app are split. It's good, but I have read many bad reviews with terrible payouts, and I have experienced the same. Yeah, the payouts are going to be based on quality of data uploads. And yes, some people are going to be like, oh, wait, this doesn't instantly mean I'm entitled to like make easy money. Nope.
I agree. I think the UI UX is really clean on the app. I do agree. Payouts have been slow in the past. And yes, they've decreased as well. Like my first upload, I made like $409. I mean, here, you guys can see my first upload on CLED. Not sure if you can see that.
Here, I'll full screen you.
Not sure if it. Jeez.
Yeah, I might not. I don't know how you got like screen blur on or something. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Wow. $400. Yeah.
Right. So I made $400 my first upload. Just upload a bunch of images. Uploaded some videos to test out later. Only made $5.50 from it. So the payouts have dropped. But I agree. I think the app could get fleshed out. Thing is, they're getting a lot of data, and it really just comes down to what they're doing with the enterprises.
Clearly doesn't got the quality Dom family photos. No, he needs the prom photos.
Should I get some prom photos up here? Here's what I can do. Here. So this was my desk used to be back against right here, and this was where this is my old monitor arm and stuff, right? So I gotta get rid of that now, but we're gonna work on the setup, man. I got
people don't know it was the GSD when you're learning. You shared your.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh.
Here, bro. I'll give you guys. I'll hang up some lore for you guys. 1 second.
The lore was the opening a folder of a bunch of prom photos. Those were funny. Oh my gosh, I was dying. I couldn't believe it. I had to mute myself for a while.
Here, we'll I'll relive my glory days here. Hold up the the little sash, get the crown there for you guys.
Oh my gosh, what were you, like valid Victorian or something?
I wish, dude. More socialite. Definitely not a valid Victorian.
Were you like voted by your peers to be like the most likely to what?
I actually did get voted most likely to be successful in my yearbook. I'll have to pull that out for you guys next. But yeah,
ain't that some social proof, guys? All right,
social proof.
All right, on to Soar. I digress. If you go into the MCG archive somewhere, it's Dom's prom photos somewhere. Oh,
yeah.
That's all right.
Nonetheless, yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's talk Soar real quick. I'll get you guys on Viva in a sec. Did you see this? Soar makes private markets public, trade any startup. So it looks like they're gearing up for V2. I just saw this teaser. Had to share with the boys. Not much to comment here, to be honest.
All right. So this is all right.
Like,
I don't know.
SpaceX, Notion, Anthropic.
How do we even tackle this?
Okay, I don't know. Well, this is just a teaser. Like, I don't know what this means. V2's coming.
First off, great marketing, beautiful website.
Yeah, they're
very teased. Lots of logos on the website. People are going to want to join the wait list. I think everyone should join the wait list and see what these guys are cooking.
I would invest in Waymo.
I mean, Waymo, no. Tesla's going to eat their lunch with Robotaxi.
Honestly, not a bad take. But yeah, how they pull this off, I'm not sure. Are they going to go and buy shares in all these companies? But look, they can attract a lot of people if they do bring, Waymo, SpaceX, Notion, some of these startups, Anthropic.
I'd love to see this. I would love to see this. To be clear, like we have a good relationship with Tom and the team, and we want them to be successful. How they do this, we do not know. I don't know is there features? Can you click features? Is this a live website? Like, can we go?
No,
features?
this is a Twitter teaser posted by Alex, co-founder and design lead at Filter. Just seems like the people picked it up, man. Shout out my goat here.
Oh yeah, Fumbler. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how they do this, but yeah, I think they mean any startup, not just the ones on Soar. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And this would be look, if you can crack what pre-stock does, just down the risk curve a little bit, I think there's a huge market for it. Yeah, sounds like X stocks, right? Which both are very successful for what it's worth. Curious to see what they'll do 6 months from now. Seems like a hot potato over there. Is that for Soar?
Well, they need to find a potential pivot. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's any DRP companies launching anymore. And to be frank, the launch thing is not hot right now unless you're doing like meme coins like Printr was. I think Printr was a once a year type launch success. But yeah.
Yeah, and truth be told, I just think the DRP standard doesn't work.
Yeah,
As much as you like it or whatever, like you
Yeah.
can look at the market dynamics here. We see, Street somewhat works, still trading at a discount to what's perceived as true value. Ace model clearly works right now, currently. And again, I have not decided if this is because the Ace model is superior or if this is just a short-term speculation, hype, excitement thing.
on
Probably
a
a little bit of
prediction market situation more than anything, but also, I mean, what was the blocks thing? That's why we got blocks
Oh.
on this week. I mean, look at blocks also doing this is ace 2.
Yes,
right?
But I did the math wrong on this, Josh. So I actually need to rescind what I said. I said blocks, 3.33% on chain, super overvalued, but I wasn't really looking at it the right way. I guess yes, if you say the whole token value is 3.33%, yes. But they're only looking for 5% of tokens in exchange for 3.33%. So it's actually a 1.5x multiple on tokens. So do a 1.5x multiple on this valuation right there, 800K. Which would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 1.2 million would be the valuation, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So 1.2 million for a gaming studio.
So it's okay. I get it. So it's not like the whole sum of tokens represent 5%. It's
right.
That 3.33% of tokens represented the 5%. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I get it. Yep.
Right.
Is that the same for Pumpcade? So going back to Pumpcade, what's
so Pumpcade is a 2.5x. So that's why this gets super expensive here because they're a 26 million market. They're above a 50 million. I mean, 26 times 2.
And they don't even have a live prediction market, no volume, nothing. And if I remember back to our interview, they had just hired or brought people on to build out the.
So this right here is a $70 million valuation, pretty much, right? So Pumpcade's at a $70 million valuation, whereas Blocks is at a 1.2 million or whatever. So like I think Pumpcade's overvalued just because they don't have a product yet. You're putting a big bet on something if you think it's already worth 70 million at a pre-product. And then Blocks, also just haven't been keeping up too much with this, but 1.2 million seems much more reasonable. 1.4 million, whatever it was, seems much more reasonable. So yes. Now, again, the issue with Ace Round for me is, okay, you exchange these tokens for equity. Amazing. Solved a huge problem. Tokens for equity. Now you should have a premium on chain. The issue is, okay, well, now the team has these tokens. The team has 5% of tokens. But what? Are they just going to recirculate those in a year once the cliff is over? And that becomes the issue of, okay, well, if I just recirculate the tokens, again, what's the value of the token if I can just recirculate it for equity? And at some point, it's now, instead of a 1.5x multiple, it's a 15x multiple, right?
Yeah, maybe that's like a legal nuance, but still TBD. I don't know. We have to MetalX. We want you to help us understand this a bit more.
Sorry about MetalX, guys. They canceled on us twice. We had a Friday, they canceled. Monday, they canceled.
All good. It is
all good, but we can only do so much.
We're just gonna speculate then on what you're meaning. So
Right. They need to provide some more clarity. So that was my interpretation of Blocks. And so going back to Crypto Jones' questions earlier, I really do like the Ace model, but there's a few things that like kind of make it a deal breaker. Like you can't just have tokens perpetually flowing back from basically selling your tokens for equity and then those tokens getting recirculated. That can't work. So that's a flaw in the model. And I think also the window being, I think in this case it was a 1 week window, of exchanging tokens. It needs to be indefinite. It needs to be open all the time, right? And that adds like any time if a token gets fundamentally undervalued, it can be swapped for equity, and that kind of adds the floor of the safety net. So those two things, it's probably legal reasons they can't change that stuff, but those are the two things that pop up for me. Pumpcade PA speculation likely the real catalyst. Pumpcade price action speculation is likely the real catalyst. Yeah, I think a lot of this Pumpcade price action is speculation right now. I would agree.
Yeah, and wow, that's either ways candling there. What do you think about the Printr public sale? Let's get a Printr clip going. Because guys, MCG got on the Printr bandwagon. Now, of course, we're backed by Meteora, so we had the inside Printr angle intro, I should say, going back a while. Now they held off for coming on the show for a while, as I guess they were getting ready with the current, Printr situation. V2, but wildly successful. I mean, we can't scoff at 150 million in volumes in this market. One of our biggest interviews to date in terms of viewership. So we're really proud to have hosted that one. And the tokens did really well. Fat Choi called at 100K, went to 2.5, 3 mil. Belief 2 mil to 20 mil. PV was a good cook, 100K to 400 or 500K. I don't know. We had a bunch of them. Chill was all over it. Now they have this ICO here, or this TGE, I should say. Sorry. Can you pull up the TGE, or do you have it in front of you from Fed?
I don't have it in front of me, but I can pull it
up. Again, probably limit effort, blame macro LL, seeing a theme here. I don't know if that's directed at us or if that's directed at someone specific, but if you want to elaborate on this, Daddy Duster, we'll comment on it. I mean, but macro's been like macro's been whatever, but macro crypto's been brutal. I mean, no one can tell me that this price action's been great. Oh yeah. I guess so. I mean,
so I'll give my take on this print, and I don't think people are gonna like it. Shout out Fed. I think they're doing something innovative. I think 50 million is not worth the risk to reward for me in this market. I mean, MetaDAO is trading at that price. Meteor is not much above it. And so when I look at something, it's like, what's the upside? Well, what's the upside in the short term, right? In this market, assuming things go bad, 100 mil, maybe. If it gets up to 100 mil, it'll be it'll be the top launch pad right behind Pump Fun. And I guess technically Bonk, but you can't compare the Bonk meme token to it. So let's count that out. So Printr going to 100 mil would make it the top launch pad above Meteora, above MetaDAO, obviously above like Believe. Bags doesn't have a token, right? And I just don't know if you could say that right now at this state. I think we need some time to prove out the print model. I'm not saying they're not going to be great long term and overtake Pump and do all this great stuff. I just think it's too early to call. So 50 million for me, when there's an upside capped at like 75, I think in the short term, RR is not great. When I know the market can be more brutal right now than, I guess, than kind. So I think it could beat it down very easily to 25, 20, 15 million. And I think it'd be very difficult to get up to 75, 100 million. So I think the path of least resistance is down, broadly based on macro, broadly based on all the other launch pads. So I think 50 million is too steep for me to get involved. That's my honest take. Again, love what Fed's doing. I love how people have taken to it and said, okay, this rewards us more than Pump Fun. This is a better model. Great. Need time to prove it out. And I think a better market, 50 mil, I would be like probably hammering it, but not on this one. So that's my take on Printr.
Really, that's a balanced take. I actually really kind of agree with that.
Cool. Again, it's just path of least resistance. It's so difficult to get up to 100 mil in these markets. But
so beyond that, I mean, is the token getting airdropped? Like there's other kind of slices of this, what 10% is being sold, or no, sorry, it's 2 million. So it's like 5% at 50. Is it 5 at 50? Or
I think it's 5%. That was another thing. It's a very low amount. And so like how much of this TG is just going to be used as Bybit's chance to kind of sell some of their pre-seed or seed investment in Print. Some of that deal was, I'm sure, structured in tokens. So they got in at 10 mil and it's at 50 million. They're up 5x in a pretty bad market. And a lot of these early investments aren't doing well. They could cash in on that exit liquidity. So, 5% is not a big chunk to the public. I'm not sure how much is going to be airdropped. He's been very bullish on the airdrop. I love how they're doing the airdrop. But if that's not a super meaningful amount, again, like the token distribution is kind of tough. There's no vesting as far as I'm aware. So yeah, they definitely confirmed airdrop. 100% confirmed airdrop, I think, with TG. Just unclear how much that's going to be. You know, it's a bit too much for me to like take a solid stab at. But one more thing I thought was pretty cool. Avicii is making an interesting step. We had that conversation. Avicii and Cast had that conversation about how would a merger and acquisition happen. And nonetheless, Avicii is taking one more step towards a actual neobank. They introduced X stocks to the neobanking app, so you can now buy S&P 500, Apple, Google, Nvidia, and all the other offerings that X stocks offers with 0% fees, and you earn X points through Avicii. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, it's a neobank thesis, and you know, having everything super app, kind of all in one app. I have all my banking, all my investments in one place. Good, great integration, frankly. 0% trading fees too. I'm not sure how that's achieved, but good integration from Avicii. The last thing I have today, and we can just chop it up with you guys, is America.fun is doing V2. Now, we got them coming on this week as well. Gotta say, World Liberty Financial has been through the ringer. I saw, you know, like co-founder got arrested for, you know, with coke or something recently. They've been doing some sketchy stuff on the World Liberty Financial side. So question is, does America.fun disassociate from World Liberty Financial and kind of take, you know, just the America first approach and disassociate, or how are they doing that? Not sure. We're going to find out. We've totally rebuilt America's favorite launchpad from the ground up. The highest creator fees on Solana, up 1.25%, up to 70% net revenue shared to AOL stakers, UI UX optimized for traders. The best place to launch and trade coins. Hell yeah. So again, just got to see what this means. But just thought I'd bring it to your attention. Again, still undefined on how these tokens are going to have any intrinsic value, which is my issue with America.fun. Just becomes another meme coin launchpad.
What's AOL worth crack mode? Built for chaos.
Crack mode, that's the World Liberty Financial co-founder. That's what he's on.
Man, this was a little disappointing, this one, in the early days, like in terms of when they were launching, because that pump there, I was like, oh, you're great. This is a competitor to Pump Fund, you know, the America First thing. And then unfortunately, the tokens just never got any traction. I don't know what held it back. Maybe it was the deployer fee, but something didn't click.
This competitor to Pump Fund thing is a narrative you don't want to get caught up in. Like, just,
yeah.
If you're ever thinking this is going to be Pump Fund, this is competitive to Pump Fund, like you've already lost, bro. Stop comparing. Like, this is not a dig at you, Josh, but it's like, stop comparing to Pump Fund, guys. Nothing is the next Pump Fund. At this point, anything to take a meaningful share from Pump Fund is a winner. Like, so like, you know, I know Chill likes to go down the whole Printr is going to flip Pump Fund narrative, and it's like, shit, guys.
It's kind of a cool narrative, though, if you think about it. Everyone loves to see the underdog.
It's a wash narrative,
and
bro.
make
Everyone
a bunch of money, you know, make a bunch of money making the call.
It's a wash narrative. Shout out my guy Chill. It's a wash narrative. People say the same thing about it. People say the same thing about every launchpad. It's tired of hearing it. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked in the past, you know. But
so wait, hold on. I gotta ask. So you don't think anyone could ever outdo Pump Fund? You think they're just so far ahead? They've won the game. It's like there's no
I don't
point
think that.
Okay, so
I don't think that, but I think it's naive to just call every new emerging launchpad the one that's going to flip Pump Fund when it's been 2 weeks, you know, or a week. Like we've talked about how these things work. Okay, because Pump Fund's the first mover, because they have all the market share. In order for someone to actually beat out Pump Fund, they need to do what Pump Fund does better by like a magnitude of 5-10x in every single aspect, and have one product specifically be something that captivates people like big time. Otherwise, like, they just don't have a shot. And unfortunately, having launchpads, I think that they're here to launch meme coins, but maybe you get a little more fees, or maybe Like when there's these very small slight adjustment, it just doesn't work. It has to blow it out of the water. I do think Printr does the whole staking thing really cool. I think people took to that. Again, it's just how do you keep this momentum going? Because you have to hit all it needs to happen to flip Pump Fun, and it's easier said than done, is you have to take the deployers from Pump Fun to the new platform. If people don't deploy on Pump Fun and they deploy here, well, that's where the traction comes. That's how momentum builds. And once you have that wind at your back, it's really hard to stop you. The issue is all the deployers are on Pump Fun, so naturally all the traders are going to go there. And so for this to change, it's kind of like a hen and egg thing. It's like we need deployers on a new platform, and we need traders on a new platform. But deployers aren't going to go somewhere unless traders are there, and traders aren't going to go there unless deployers are there. So that's why I kind of like these equity platforms, because they're crafting a new set of deployers to where these deployers are really good. They're great deployers. It's going to bring traders over. If you're making a launch pad, but you're not curating deploys, no one's going to come over, right? Because you have to have deploys to have traders. And once you have traders, you have deployers, right? So unless you're doing the deployer side and you can have meaningful deployers, which can attract the traders, and once the traders are there, deployers will naturally follow suit. You can never get ahead. And Pump Fun's got the deployers now, and it's got the traders because it has the deployers. So that's a sticky situation it's in, which is why I get so excited when I see someone like Street or Soar, because I know what they're doing differently from these other launch pads that come and try to challenge Pump Fun and fail, is they're actually curating deployers, which will in turn hopefully bring traders, that's how you get the ball rolling and the meaningful flip to happen. So that's why I say these platforms that are just Pump Fun replicas with a little bit of difference in the middle, they can never work. So America.fun, again, not saying America.fun or Printr are in this box, but like if Printr wants to meaningfully break out, they need to have some great deploys come through and then pair that with their cool new features.
Yeah, no, I mean, curating deploys is great. You don't want people who are like just bundling up, tokens and doing shady shit. And, but yeah, Printr is the closest that we've seen. So in the meme coins,
I would like to see a utility project or two launch on Printr. I think we get some really good utility launches. And then I'm like, okay, now we got utility with actual, some better tokenomics and rewards. Okay, now I'm starting to see it. I think the memes though, you can't compete with just straight memes. But that's I'm covered on all my news on Chain Sitch. But if you have anything, we can keep it rolling.
No, do you guys have any tickers you guys want us to look at? Here's Squire. You're gonna mention Avicii, and then I cut you off to talk about something else. I don't know if you had a quick Avicii. Is the chart like, what's the chart looking like?
Yeah, I just want to bring it to your attention to keep eyes on it, because okay, wow, it's off a little pump. So this is when the cast conversation happened. So the context here is this was Avicii's chart. MCG covered it. They launched, ran up to $75 million. Of course, no one else was talking about it until MCG covered it.
Only MCG was covering this.
Literally only MCG. Then it dips down, and it's kind of gotten in this perpetual loop where it's like, okay, bad chart, never coming back. I'm selling. And we know the life cycle on tokens is shorter and shorter every day. So it got into this loop where price started going down, and naturally it's hard to ever break out from that. It's really hard once your token's going down. And that's the cycle it's in. And so someone from the cast team comes up and says, look, Avicii's got pretty good numbers. They're doing really cool stuff. Like, we like their neobank thesis. How would Cast go about a merger and acquisition? He said, now I'm not looking to actually do a merger and acquisition, but if we got closer to like the 0.1 mark, which is way lower, okay, well, I'd be, really interested in an M&A or whatever. And so that's how that conversation came up. And I think since then, we've kind of gotten a pump where people are like, oh, Cast is watching Avicii. There must be some value here. We've kind of gotten a pump since then. They integrated Xstocks, which is great. Again, great development from Avicii. But so hard to escape this death cycle. I didn't really have any other comment on that other than I think the Xstocks was cool, and they're working towards this neobank. Has Avicii ever released their usage data, like how many users they have? They have in the past. Remember, this was a project. Avicii's been around for a year. They've been around pre-ICO for a year, or pre-ICO, pre-TG for a year. So they had users and usage. I don't think in recent times they have, though. It would be interesting to see. But again, this is trading at an 8 million valuation, you know, and down here is trading closer to a 5 million valuation, which again, full ownership is in the hands of the holders. So when you see Avicii, and if it does go into perpetual downtrend, this is where ownership, realistically, the Futarki model should take shape. And if it goes down to like below net asset value or a below average price, you know, seeing the potential of a merger and acquisition or seeing the potential of a liquidation is going to be interesting to further prove out the meta down model. But yeah, hard to escape. I think Avicii's actually looking good. I would watch it. I think, again, if it goes back down that 4 or 5 million mark, just interesting. I only wanted to cover that update because I think you guys should be keeping up with something like Avicii, which is a meaningful business doing actual well and continuing to develop, but seeing significant price fluctuations to the downside because at some point this could come back. Daddy Duster, Chipotle thought they were good until Kava. Their competition will come up these days. I agree, man. Look, I don't think no one's going to challenge Pump Fun ever. I just think in order to challenge Pump Fun, you have to have really great deploys, which then attract traders. Yeah, so, or you have to have a really superior product. And by the way, Kava is fantastic. I love Kava so much. Josh, have you ever, is Kava a thing in Toronto?
No, I've not heard of it. Chipotle is pretty good, but man, like so good burrito groups. I like some craft burritos right here, like some of the mom and pop ones, but I'm not like a big, you know, corporate burrito guy.
Oh, you're not big burrito? You're
I
not
don't
into
even know
big burrito?
but what kind of joke you're trying to make? But
It's like Big Pharma, like big burrito.
Oh yeah, I'm not
like,
into big burrito. Not big burrito guy at all.
Like a taco, whatever.
All
I
right,
actually had San Jose's. I had San Jose's this weekend, which is great for happy hour Friday.
Bro, my in-laws are Filipino, so I eat a lot of Filipino food. But yeah, what's my go out? Donaires. I love Donaires.
No clue.
They're like a German Middle Eastern thing. Love my shawarmas. Squire on Sol looks interesting. Sort of doing a VVV type deal on Sol. Had a sell off, but could be a good entry. Founder is X Elixir. Interesting. Let's have a look at that one. And then there's a couple more here.
Yeah. So I got to pull up. You're gonna have to maybe send a CA or something. The only thing is there's one on Pump Fun, which has 24K in liquidity and 10K volume, and then there's one on Meteora, which has no volume. So I guess we're talking Pump Fun, which is lower in market cap. Pod the Squires. Squire is the creator coin for Pod the Squire, an autonomous coding agent building agentic software and platforms. Squire currently powers. Okay. Check their website, I guess, or check their Twitter first. Again, what makes VVV unique is they sit on a ton of compute, a limited amount.
I never want to laugh at these things because the ones I laugh at end up going like crazy. I laughed at some funny ones.
I don't know how this relates to VV at all, though, to be honest. Agent for software built by agents for agents. I mean, it's software for agents, but where do the tokenomics have anything to do with like compute and limited like scarcity
or traction?
If you give me the TLDR, okay, Quant's talking about today. I text my bro. He was complaining Microsoft removed previous Claude models and now only works with 4.7 version, making it about 7x more expensive to code. It made me think of Squire and how this exists. The reason why their mission is important. A true inference marketplace will bring the costs of all models down to their cheapest prices. This marketplace is already being built by Gilbert through Squire.bot. Inference capital market soon. Okay, so it is an inference marketplace. But the issue with Squire is inference marketplaces, just like there's lots of deep-in inference marketplaces. Now, deep-in mechanisms kill a lot of these things, but like, you know, okay, it's another inference marketplace. I just don't, unless I'm missing something, I don't see how that gets exciting. Agent first tools for the command line. So it's tools for agents as well as maybe an inference marketplace, an AI-powered trading bot. Yeah, look, I mean, not to shit in your party here, but I don't know if inference marketplace, nothing new. Probably would go with someone that's got a well-established inference marketplace. Just agent models, AI agents, also nothing very special there. So I would just pass.
Yeah, we've looked at Riverboat too. Even I've reached out and gotten message back from the team super early. There's like no markets on their platform yet. I mean, unless that's changed, Top Fumbler, it's a TBD and a pass, probably.
Canton Network. Jones, I can't say I'm super familiar with Canton Network, although I hear their name all the time. What's the word on it though? I mean, like obviously familiar with them, but I don't know much about anything they're doing. So they're, their top revenue generating protocol. The only public blockchain with privacy that works, powering Wall Street and trillions on chain. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Wall Street DeFi thing.
But there's no way to get exposure to this as far as I'm aware.
Oh my, I was like, yo, don't we know this guy? This guy looks familiar. Wait.
Yeah.
Trench Web 3. Is this the, you know who that reminds me of? What was that one dude? Him and Maya were beefing on the timeline.
Yes, he does. He looks like that guy.
But I don't think this is the same guy. Just play it. Yeah, I can't hear it, unfortunately. What was his name though?
When you open your inbox and you see fire,
it is him
like this. I mean, these are insane, and it's just my luck that he can't make a size 13. Yeah. Otherwise, I would be wearing them in this video. But I love what I'm seeing because this is a real community starting to take shape here. Now, before I dive in, I just want everyone to understand what my criteria is for these selections. Number one, if you are a Canton native and exclusive project, you already have an advantage over everyone else. Secondly, if you match my thesis, as I've mentioned many times before, we're looking for connective tissue. We're looking for network effects. So if your project,
their look at projects contributing to the ecosystem. So is he?
He must be working for the team now. Click on his thing. Minted. Okay.
Founder try minted. Oh, he's an advisor at OKX. Angel. Yeah, that's right. I think you're right. He was beefing with Maya for a while. We had him on the show to kind of talk about what though he was here to talk about
they were doing like some equity thing, but he was pretty strict on like that. Some of the models out there, and probably rightfully so, were just not ever going to work because of their legal status or whatever. But I always thought he was really talented at like being in front of a camera and like having a well thought out pitch. Like this kind of content does really well, and he's really good at it. Oh, so here. This is what he
on MetalX.
Was, yeah, this is what he was doing.
This is on MetalX. Okay, interesting. Okay, let's get this because, and by the way, it does pay to hate. Like if you go and hate on people and like question models, you can get a lot of attention doing this. Wondering if that's how Lewis kind of got his mark, but
he wasn't from Salutary. I'm trying to remember the name. It was like Byway or something like that. It was
It was was it not? Maybe it was saluted to
Segway. That's what it was.
Segway.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's read this.
Salutary is something else.
This is criticism on the Ace round and MetalX here, or at least it seems to be. I haven't read. Let's see. Wow, Gabe, you're such a cyberpunk. I've never engaged in anything you've ever posted, but I guess it's time. His own Borg legal framework wraps Marshall Island DAO. How old is this? One sec. March 31st. Okay. His own Borg legal framework wraps Marshall Island DAO LLCs around Cayman Segos with no legal accountability, no fiduciary duties, and no distribution. Best part, you relinquish all of your IP to a structure governed by a token market he doesn't control, arbitrated in the Cayman Island courts he'll never step foot in, all while they disclaim legal responsibility for what he built. At least he produces. So this is cyber. Is this for a different product than the Ace round? This must be different from Ace, because this is a Borg legal framework. Huh. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Interesting nonetheless.
What were the replies? The replies to anything interesting there?
Again, this is pre-Ace. So let's see. Say what you want about decentralized or centralized networks, but Lex Node is a top 5 lawyer in the space. Crazy take. I can't attest to whether he's capable practitioner or not. I leave my opinion at the end. However, the legal posture / analysis is objective. They're facts. You can download the documents and look for yourself. It's just very sensational farming, in my opinion. It's weird to call out. I mean, well, this is, I mean,
yeah,
this is what he does.
That's what he does. Yeah.
He's clearly built his reputation or name off of this.
Segue, Dom, you're blocked. What? All right, I don't know. Blocked in what context?
No. I was clicking on this. He said, "No, you're no. This is Lewis being blocked. Gabriel wouldn't block. You would have no reason to block me because he's going to come on the show. Lex_node. I don't even know why I'm text. I don't even know why I'm looking for.
DC? This is interesting. Canton Network. Can we go into Canton Network too a little bit?
Yeah.
Like not to segue. Not to segue too much from.
So I wonder why he segued from Segway to Canton. Maybe just because the opportunity was better. What do you want to cover on it though?
Just like what is Canton doing? It's like, is it a RWA trading platform for Wall Street? Like, okay, what is going on? Okay.
This privacy-focused layer 1 chain serves institutional finance, tokenizing real-world assets like U.S. treasuries for banks and giants like DTCC partners. So it tokenizes treasuries for banks. Fees settle in its CC token, which gets burnt to reduce supply, while massive incentives. Okay, so it does have a token. 95 million in 30 days drive activity, but create net losses of 29 million. Let's see CC, because you know what? I haven't actually looked at this one. Canton Network. Let's see it. Boom. Okay. Top revenue generating platform here. So interesting.
Go to can you yeah.
Let me sorry, my thing was double sharing for some reason. All right. So this is the CC token. Holding up pretty well, all things considered, though they're doing so much revenue, at least from what I'm seeing. It's kind of interesting that they're not just like ripping like hype. But yeah, let me try to find more information. Look at this. Yeah, so revenue 30 days, 65 million. Right, this is pretty incredible. No one saw it coming. Canton institutional chain for made 65 million revenue in 30 days, more than Hyperliquid, Pump Fund, Tron, Polymarket, even Ethereum. Did you know this existed? Shout out Zen. Sounds
sounds fake though. Zen.
Okay. So I guess what they're okay. This is the same situation that came up with the Tau subnets, right? So CC Canton is making a ton of revenue, but they're using tokens to subsidize basically like subnets coming on their platform. And so what happens is you take away the subsidies, they're actually not operating at a profit is how I understand this. With my very little knowledge, but how I'm understanding it is, yeah, the subnets that are doing meaningful stuff for them are getting a ton of subsidies to do it. And hence, without the subsidies, the revenue would be, practically nothing. By giving 1 billion USD in tokens out to be used. So yeah, it's I wouldn't want to be sold on like that.
I mean, you got to dog food a little bit in the early days of some of these things and attract some stuff. But I don't know if the token holders bear that overhang is the question. But the chart seemed like was that in logarithmic? Did you have that in logarithmic? Why does that chart look actually half decent?
No, this is normal. How
It's
do I
normal?
change? Yeah.
Bottom right is how you change it, but there's a little gear thing there. Yeah, that thing. I think somewhere there. Maybe it just looks like a logarithmic chart, but okay.
No, there's logarithmic. There's regular. It does. Let's see what else. I mean, there's CC perps. Let's see if the perps look any different. No.
Yeah. What's it valued at? Is there some valuation?
I would have to go on CMC real quick. Bear with. Canton. Let's see. Come on. Come on. What if you're in greed at 42? So wow, this is market cap of 5.7 billion.
Wow. Wow.
5.7 billion. Again, doing really good revenue, but $1 billion a year annualized in tokens that they're giving away basically to their subnets. Hey, maybe look again. Tao's done very well doing this. So Umbra is looking interesting at these levels. Would be sweet to get them back on MCG. Yeah, we gotta get the Umbra squad back on. Let me see.
We're working on it. We have a date set after Miami.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. Umbra's at 5.1 million market cap. Now, this was they raised so much money. So 9.7 million FTV. Again, what is NAV for this, right? What is net asset value? That's when I become like, take away the product at all from these MetaDAO stuff. Umbra, Avicii, take it all away. No product, whatever. I am interested in anything that is trading below net asset value, just simply put, especially knowing, a vote can be raised at any time to liquidate. So this is not a personal attack on Umbra, a personal attack on Avicii or whoever. Take away the product. If something's trading below net asset value and with a Futarchy decision market model, it's probably just a good bid. So I don't know what the NAV is for Umbra. I'm sure we could find that out. Is there a way to short this? I would definitely not short Umbra here, bro.
I think it was referring to Canton.
No.
No, yeah.
I think he's referring to Umbra. I would not short this, bro. I would short a lot of other things. I would not short any MetaDAO project because your downside is net asset value for the most part, right? Downside is net asset value. Okay, Canton. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a way to short that. Go on Binance. It was trading on perps, so you could probably do it on Hyperliquid as well. Not suggesting you do that. I don't know enough, but yeah, you can short.
So sometimes those big projects get crimed though. So
I'll ask Grok what the NAV is. What is the NAV for?
Hey, they recently sponsored Ownership FM. So congrats to the Ownership FM guys at getting a sponsor. Umbra is a great sponsor to have.
Yeah,
definitely
and the
would
product,
have loved to work with them too as well. But
and the it's always on the table. The product looks really clean too. The UI is just fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, their design eye is phenomenal.
I saw I thought what was pretty good traction from their growing TVLs. So
let's see. Can we see some numbers? Yeah, also on that, any traction.
And I gotta jump here shortly, boys. Current key metrics as of recent data: Treasury NAV 1.7 million, Umbra token price 0.24. They raised much more than this though, right? How much did they raise? They raised like 18 mil or something.
No, they didn't take that.
They raised 160 something.
Yeah,
and only took like
I want to say they took 8.
Okay.
If I remember correct.
Market cap roughly in the 5 million range. Yep. The token has historically traded at a premium to NAV. Yep. This doesn't have its net asset values. I think I mean, it should be trackable on chain. I will say I've done this with MetaDAO where I've looked for some of the net asset values. It's a little more difficult than it should be, but they are findable. I just forget how I got to them. So again, Umbra and Avicii or any project on MetaDAO becomes interesting naturally under net asset value for me. Now, of course, if I like the product and I think it has good growth potential, I mean, it becomes interesting no matter what. I think Umbra can probably fit in that bucket. But again, as we get closer to net asset value, that's when my, I start drooling a little bit more.
Did you say that they had some TVL numbers?
I thought I saw, because they introduced these new markets, right? Blank market is now private with Umbra or whatever. And I think they might have shared some numbers.
Oh, crew. All right. Sorry. I have in the show notes from our stream on October 20th. Again, guys, we were streaming MetaDAO really early. It says with no intention to go beyond the 3 million mark. So that was during their ICO. So maybe they burned maybe half their capital so far.
Well, what's now I'd have to go back and listen to our thing. They have a certain emission amount per month. So what all you have to do, guys, is if you couldn't find it on chain, what you would do is you would go take how much they raised, find out their allocation per month, and subtract that amount for however many months it's been out, and then you'll have their asset value on hand, and you can compare that to token. Let's get Lex back on for a GSD update. Maybe.
Always.
I mean, not sure if there's been much development there, but so that's our guy. Here's the last thing I'll leave y'all with, guys. Street made this post about here. Josh, you were wondering about the CLED thing. Street Frontier 2 has now the right to buy up to 10% of Trility to use CLED. So this was their disclosure and announcement for CLED. But it looks like on this note as well, Avi Patel will be going on a live stream at 3 p.m. East tomorrow. They're going to cover the new CLED tokenomics. They're going to cover the growth in the past weeks, how CLED's integrated into the app, tier 1 SEX listings and further liquidity, the road to unicorn valuation. So, yeah, there you go. You guys can catch it tomorrow. Won't be on MCG, so probably not going to be the best interview, but maybe a pretty good one nonetheless. I think
all our Avi Patel content is S tier for sure.
No, I'm sure this will be a really great interview.
Yeah.
I'm an investor in CLED and equity holder and use CLED. Yeah. All right, so tune into that, guys. We'll leave it at that. Real quick, what I'll do as my last piece, let's just look at NVIDIA, guys. I remember explicitly saying this. Now, I thought we were going to roll over more on NVIDIA, but I explicitly said, look, any NVIDIA dip that you get that is 10+%, if you're willing to just sit on that and hold it for a while, it's probably a good deal. You just got to be patient. Look at this dang chart, dude. NVIDIA bounced from 165 to 215 in like 2 weeks. 3-4 weeks. Still insane. Pretty much everything's bouncing across the board, but NVIDIA's like one of the most wild charts. So I just thought I'd highlight that real quick. Again, NASDAQ at all-time highs, S&P at all-time highs, Dow Jones at all-time highs. Oh, well, it's actually not quite there yet. Oil's kind of creeping back up, interestingly, though. This might be a short, to be honest. This might be an interesting oil short because I think at this point, the Strait of Hormuz has been pretty much opened up completely, and we're on the ceasefire. And I think we probably end with peace talks. So potentially shorting oil for me here at $96, just something to keep an eye on. Although I'm no geopolitical expert or economist. Gold, silver, doing their thing. Yep, nothing really else to cover on that note. Just want to pull up NVIDIA for the most part. Bitcoin kind of taking a tumble, but slow rollover over here. I like to see it. I'm pretty confident this is, we could continue higher. So that's it, boys. I got nothing else. Josh, anything for the people?
No, guys. Hey, look, we hit 9,000 followers on X. Intel is crazy. Yeah, you know what? INTC, I had a crypto condom called that at like $22 for the Intel back when they still were rumors or talking about the US investment, and it is, yeah, look at this thing. Oh my gosh. Just straight. Look, at $20, I was like, yo,
Wild.
Nvidia is going crazy. Like maybe Intel goes. Maybe Intel goes. I never pulled the trigger on this. I should have sold all my Galaxy and bought this, but I didn't.
I wonder what AMD is doing, bro. I wonder what AMD is doing. Let's see. Ho 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 ho.
I know.
That one's going crazy too. Wow, I've not been following AMD at all. Shit.
Bro, Intel, like
wild. Man, these energy companies are going crazy. Here, I mean, I'll just go back to stocks. Now, these are on big dips. Okay. These are the not SoFi. Oh, no. Okay. I'm tripping. Chevron. Yeah, okay. I'm no surprise here. Chevron is on a big dip here. ExxonMobil is on a dip here. Again, these are oil companies. Though they're still, doing really cool things. Of course, this is all pumped from Venezuela stuff and from the Iran war stuff, right here, Venezuela and Iran war, because these are the two companies that are going to be benefiting the most. If we do get a dip back into this range, honestly, longing oil companies like Exxon and Chevron, probably good plays, because they are actually growing their markets quite a bit in emerging countries, and they're starting to make up a significant amount of revenue. But whatever, I keep getting sidetracked. I'm done.
All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. All semiconductors going well. Buffett said risk off. Man, Buffett's got a lot of cash. Bitcoin follows software companies. Tough. Yes, it is. It seems like it. But man, crypto does feel undervalued. Equities feel expensive. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, equities feel expensive and crypto feels cheap, like genuinely.
It's the way we're headed, guys. We're headed to tokenization. We're headed to internet financialization. We're headed blockchain networks. So
my thesis has never felt stronger. Never.
Yeah. But I just can't fade crypto. It's cheap until it's not. And there'll be that inflection point. I don't know if that's today, if it's already happened on this current bump, or if it's going to happen in the weeks, months ahead, but got to stay in the game.
I will show you guys the schedule. And on this note too, guys, like I had a conversation with my uncle the other week, man. And again, like every time I get to re-explain my thesis, it further confirms. My uncle is invest in companies, get dividends for life. Your classic companies. And I'm like, and he's very not fond of Bitcoin. We had this conversation, and ultimately I'm not going to go through the whole thing for you, but ultimately it came down to, okay, well, what do you think about the US dollar? I was like, okay, well, the US
show
dollar.
him Unc. Say, hey,
yeah,
Unc,
right.
What do you...
No, the US and it's like, okay, well, US dollars, the biggest Ponzi scheme of all. We couldn't pay off all our debt. If everyone was taxed 100% in the United States, we would never be able to pay off our debt. Like, we're in crippling debt. The US dollar is a big Ponzi scheme. I'm like, okay. Well, if you believe the US dollar is a big Ponzi scheme and a terrible asset, which everyone should, who has any bit of common sense and can look at it pragmatically. So if you think the US dollar is a Ponzi scheme, well, you've just made a very, very interesting case for Bitcoin, because at some point, just like every other Ponzi, it's going to fall, and people are going to need to revert back to something that has finite supply, zero manipulation. And if you also believe that the emergence of QR codes is going to continue to happen, the emergence of stable coins, well, then all of a sudden now you have a world where the US dollar is falling. Everyone believes it's a Ponzi, and everyone's already using digital payments. And it makes a very, very easy case for Bitcoin being the currency that people use. Everyone's already using digital payments now. They're trading the US dollar. They're using the US dollar, but dollar is just another big Ponzi. Okay, so if you believe the dollar is a big Ponzi, you've just made a very, very compelling case for Bitcoin. And it's, I think once you get people there, there's not much they can say. But let me show you guys the schedule.
My uncle actually asked me about crypto a couple weeks ago. So people are noticing.
Yeah. Where the heck is the schedule? Highlights. 1 second, boys. I got you. We covered it at the start of the show. Guys, of course, want to remind you of our sponsor, Trojan, bottom left corner. Trade with us in Trojan. It supports the show and keeps us going. So we're able to show up every day because of Trojan and Meteora. So We appreciate all their support. That being said, tomorrow we have Fold coming on, talking a bit more about peptides and what's going on there. So
peptides. I don't know what peptides are, but I've wanted to learn.
I cannot believe Josh is not big exposed to peptides. So this will be huge. I mean, it's a bigger market than AI right now is peptides. Between the two legal GLPs, right? The leading peptides, they did like 60 billion in revenue last year, which is double what all of the AI models combined did. So peptides are huge. It's pharma, big pharma. Is a huge industry. Liminal Cash coming on as well. Talking about Lil. We got Loyal giving an update. Then Wednesday, we start really heating up. Crafts is coming on, talking about their new model. Been very popular, getting a ton of buzz. AOL is coming on, and DRV again, talking about options rather than perps, which we're seeing a lot of today. Then Thursday, we have Either Way coming on. We've seen them today. We cover them on the show. Blocks coming on, talk about their new model and this token exchange rate. Hermes OS coming on. We know Hermes agent models or whatever it is has been popping off. Litcoin and Orgo, pack day. And then Friday, we're closing with a banger. You got Peak coming on. I'm sure you all know about Peak. I remember when they launched their RWA platform. It was new. It was exciting. So Peak's coming on. And then Open Gradient, who just launched last week, has done very well, is coming on as well with some cool mechanisms. You guys can't miss it. Tune in. And we love it. We'll catch you in the next one. Last minute, Bitcoin follows software. Okay, last minute. What people fail to realize is USD is becoming the stable coin of the cryptoverse. Yeah, right. USD is becoming a stable coin. It's becoming USDC and USDT. But
hasn't that been true for like a decade though now? So for what it's worth.
I mean, well, US dollar is just, it's the reserve currency of the world. So you can say that for crypto or anything else. But I think at some point you get to that point where everyone's using USDC or US dollars on chain. And when fundamentally the US dollar fails and falls like it should, like it will, everyone's already on chain. Everyone's already transacting with one currency. You start reverting to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then that's when you get to FOMO, because Bitcoin should not be valued in US dollars, right? Right now we look at Bitcoin. Oh, it's at 75,000. It's at $80,000. Well, at some point, if this thesis plays out, there is no dollar amount you could attribute Bitcoin to, because it would be, everyone's like, okay, wait a minute. I'm starting to see Bitcoin is going to be the currency for bartering, currency of choice, whatever. And you're going to start seeing people start dumping their bank account into Bitcoin. And once Bitcoin starts repricing, it's like, okay, there should be no dollar amount that we attribute Bitcoin to. It's just one Bitcoin equals how many, this many Satoshis. And I could go down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin here, but that's when it quickly becomes like, once people start realizing, okay, I should have some money in Bitcoin because this could happen. That's when you have the haters or the people like my uncle who say, I don't like Bitcoin. They're forced to buy Bitcoin because they have to accept the possible reality. Even if they don't think it should happen, if people start converting to it and start using it, they have to accept it for the pure safety aspect. So what happens is you get people just converting 10% just to be safe. And then once that starts happening, price moves up. People start fearing they're going to get priced out because the thesis of Bitcoin being one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin rather than X amount of US dollars becomes ever more true. And that's when you see people just start dumping their entire net worth into Bitcoin. And because they fear it's going to get out of hand. So there's like this aspect of FOMO too that's, I think, going to be so prominent. Not going to get into it, boys, but hold some Bitcoin. We love you.
All right. See you guys.